welcome
to Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
And I'm Max.
And this is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales, folk tales, ghost stories, woo, sometimes mythology.
Yeah.
And also,
you are here.
You're here.
Hi, guys.
Hi, welcome.
I forgot that this episode was coming out in October. Do you have a spooky story?
I do. But you had a spooky story last time.
That's true. But that was for the bonus episode.
They don't need to all be spooky stories, okay? It's nice to have a good mix for people who don't like to be thoroughly spooked.
Well, all right.
Maybe you want to just be happily
told a tale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place. We're going to tell some tales.
Yeah.
Also,
Max, hi.
Hi. This podcast isn't for kids. You can probably tell from how I said fuck immediately.
Did you? I don't even notice when you curse anymore. Yeah. I don't think I ever noticed when you cursed.
No.
Yeah. So please, if you're a child, don't go here. Max, I'm exhausted. How are you feeling?
I'm jazzed.
Okay. So we're two different things. Again, if you're here for somebody who's tired, you're in the right place. And if you're here for somebody who's happy, you're in the right place.
Listen, we got something for everyone.
We got something for everyone. Sad and spooky.
Yeah.
And jazzed and jizzy.
That's a Discord name if ever I've heard one.
Jazzed and jizzy. Well,
yeah, I got a full night's sleep for the first time in like 3 weeks.
Nice. She's like
so
a new man.
I'm feeling wired. Is this how you guys feel all the time? It's amazing.
The answer, by the way, their answer is no. They've never felt like that.
No, it's just me.
I can already tell you guys are like, full night's sleep. What? If you listen to us, you don't sleep well.
Yeah, and that's on us.
That's the Sort of the Story guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Max, if they want to hang out with us and never sleep again, how might they do that?
You can join us on our Patreon.
You can.
You can. You certainly can. The end. For $3 a month, you get access to the Discord where we hang out with all of our listeners. We've got some new people in the Discord recently, which has been really fun. If you're on the...
Hey, shout out Noodle.
Shout out to Noodle.
We have a new Discord member named Noodle.
A Noodle.
And she raises monarch butterflies. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you raise butterflies and you want to talk to her, join us at the $3 level.
Yes, absolutely. We also have a $7 tier on our Patreon, which gives you access to the Discord, plus access to a full-length bonus episode every single month. I told a spooky story for the October bonus. Mm-hmm. So if you're in the mood for something spooky and my wonderful little fairy tale that I have for you today is not hitting it, then join us for $7.
It's a really good episode. I enjoyed it.
It's a pretty good one. I was very sleepy.
Hey, and I was really jizzed.
And it was really gross.
So if you want that, go to the episode.
$7.
Anyway, so great plug. Go join that. And if you want to be our girlfriend, you got to pay us $4.
Yeah, that's a tier on the Patreon also, which is just the $3 tier plus an extra $1 where you get to say you're our girlfriend.
Yeah.
So,
and we will legally be bound to be your girlfriends.
Yeah, which means we can't testify against you in court.
That's true. So if you want to murder someone and you don't want us to tell on you,
yeah, $4.
$4. All right. Well, Max, great plug.
Thank you. And if you have any questions about the Discord or the Patreon or anything like that, you can always reach out to us on our socials at Sort of the Story or our website, sortofthestory.com, or on our email address, sortofthestory@gmail.com.
All those plugs.
Yeah. And you can text us at the link in the show notes for this episode, every episode. We can't text you back and we can't receive pictures.
We've been getting a lot of pee-pee poo-poo texts.
I don't know what those are in reference to.
I don't think they're in reference to anything, but it's funny that it's more than one person. I don't know. Have we become the pee-pee poo-poo girls?
I don't want to be a pee-pee poo-poo girl.
Yeah, she wants to be a jizzed up girl.
I want to be jazzed and jizzed. Oh, my parents listen to this.
Anyway, so Max said that and not me.
Okay, well, you said that you wanted to fuck George W. Bush, so...
That was in a bonus episode. Wait.
No, it wasn't.
It might have been in a regular episode.
It was in a regular episode.
In my defense, I forgot which was which. And I stand by it. So...
your parents would love that.
Don't cancel me. My parents are like, yeah. I said young George W. Bush and that I'd make him cry.
But that's always what you do during sex, so.
Well, that's what I aim for. I aim to please.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs a good cry. It'll help you live longer. You worm. So, Max.
Janey.
I think
that's more than $7.
That's at least $8.
Send us an email.
One last plug. if you would like to make me very happy, which I'm sure after this intro, you're like, I want to make her happy.
I'm a worm.
I'm a worm and I want to make her very happy. Go on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review, please. That's
Please.
it. Leave us a 5-star review. And if you post a little line or two in there about how much you love us or about something weird, I don't care. Pee pee boo boo. I will post it to our stories. Cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Max, do you want to get started with today's episode?
I do. Who's going first?
It's episode 164. You're going first.
Yay!
We're getting closer and closer to 169 every day.
169! If you guys aren't on the Discord and you have ideas for what we should do for episode 169, shoot us a message because we're thinking about it.
Sorry,
I hope you're thinking about it too.
I know I just said that we were going to start, but I do want to read the conversation.
I would like to pitch that if we get to episode 690,
Jesus Christ,
I will give you a little kiss on the cheek.
Pass. Okay. I posted on the Discord, I said, episode 169 is coming soon. Y'all have any ideas for what you want us to do? And then right after I said, if you say 69, I swear to God. And then immediately Midnight Mouse Georgia said, I no longer have an idea. And then after that, Juffalo Jill said, quickly deletes what I was about to say. And then the Grunch said, maybe just kiss a little. And I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Guys, stop. We're not going to kiss a little.
We're not going to 69. We can't.
We're not going to 69 and we're definitely not going to kiss a little.
So don't come to that live episode if it happens. All right. Okay. With that, I just think our listeners are so fucking funny.
Yeah.
With this, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to take a little break, but don't be scared because we're coming back. Bye.
Okay, Janey.
Okay, Max.
The story that I have for you today is from a collection of French stories called Wonder Tales, which is edited and introduced by Marina Warner, translated by Gilbert Adair, John Ashbury, Ranjit Bolt, A.S. Biat, and Terence Cave. This particular story is translated by Terence Cave.
The one name that I can pronounce in there. Also, it's the cutest little book.
Yes, it's a teeny tiny little collection of stories. It's got the cutest little illustrations on the cover. This is
sexy, sexy bear lady that doesn't need to go as sexy as she is.
Hey, the story that I have for you today is called Bearskin.
Yeah.
And that's her.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that she's going to be sexy.
Well,
that bear
right.
is like slender with like large hips. Like
yeah, and it's kind of doing the like burlesque pose where it's like covering its boobs and
like
gooch.
One little nipple, and also like it's got like long talons.
Yeah.
Like, who's her nail lady?
Talons. Yeah. And like mascara.
Yeah, it's like the stupidest, sexiest bear. Why?
Yeah, and there's a lady poking out from inside of the bearskin, and she kind of looks like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Here she comes.
Yeah, the story that I have for you today is Bearskin, which is by either Marie Madeleine de Lubert or Henriette Julie de Marat.
I know which one I hope it's by.
Who?
De la Bear.
De Lubert.
I hope that Lady LeBear is the one that wrote the story about bearskin.
That would be pretty good.
Lady LeBear, also a great Discord name.
Mm-hmm. Lady LeBear. The reason why there's some confusion is because Henriette Julie de Marat published a collection of stories called The Sprites of Kernosy Castle in 1710. Mm-hmm. Marie Madeleine de Lubert published a revised edition in 1752. This story was not in the original version, but it was in the revised version. Okay. But because of a lack of ethical folklorism, we don't know where she got the story. So it could be that she wrote the story herself, or it could be that she was using notes that we don't have access to from Madame de Marat. So we're not sure whether it's Marat's or whether it's Lubert's.
Okay.
The illustrations in this book also are by Sophie Herxheimer in Wonder Tales. Great. So I'm going to show you a couple of those, and they're very good. It's unclear which of the two women actually wrote this story. I actually believe that it was written by Henriette Julie de Marat. And the reason is because I want to talk a lot about Henriette Julie de Marat. I think that she's super fucking cool. I wasn't sure whether to do this at the beginning or the end, but I think I'm going to do it at the beginning because I think it kind of colors your interpretation of the story.
Especially considering I already said I was pro Lady LeBear.
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I have a couple of articles linked in the show notes for this episode. They're both from reactor.com. Just a quote from one of them. Other scholars believe that Lubert restored a story that was in the original manuscript, but removed by the novel's first publishers for any number of reasons. Most probably Marat's own scandalous past episodes of dressing up like a peasant, gasp, and a man. Shock.
Okay, cosplaying as a poor?
As a poor in front of the Queen of France.
Do you think it was sexual? Do you think the Queen was into it?
Maybe.
She's like, I like the power play. And it's like, did you know you're the Queen?
There are rumors that Madame de Murat was either bisexual or gay also, which I think is important to note.
And now it's no longer a rumor, but canon in my head forever.
Yeah, almost certainly accurate.
Yeah.
So Madame or Mademoiselle de Murat, she was married very young to a man. She wrote an autobiography in which she depicted her marriage as unpleasant, verging on abusive.
Yeah.
I never want to cast aspersions on someone's account of abuse, but there was a very popular book that came out right before that about a man being like, women are shit. And so her being like, actually men are shit.
Yeah.
Yes. It's hard to tell whether that's just a response to that, because it's very like that. Her memoir is very clearly a response to. So you
don't know if like it was actually like abuse. You don't know if it was abusive or if she was making a societal comment on marriage itself and not on this man.
Exactly.
Right.
She was a very scandalous figure. There were rumors that before her marriage at the age of 16, she had been engaged in various affairs, which, I mean...
A 16-year-old's got a 16-year-old?
Yeah, absolutely. In 1699, this is a quote from the Reactor article.
Nice.
So, 1699, nice. 19 nice 9. One nice 9.
No.
A high-ranking police officer of Paris, René d'Argenson, claimed that she was a lover of women.
What?
Women!
Yes.
Which forced Marat to flee Paris and leave her husband for some time. 2 years later, she was discovered to be pregnant.
So, probably not from a woman.
Probably, which did nothing to convince anyone of her virtue. In 1702, she was exiled to Château des Loches, which is some distance from Paris. So this was kind of like house arrest in like a fancy rich people house.
Yeah.
But she hated it. I get the impression from all of her biography that she just fucking hates being told what to do.
Yes, but also, can you imagine being confined to a house in the 1600s? No air conditioning, no TV, no...
This was a very fancy house.
Yeah, but still no
Paris.
Air conditioning or TV.
But it's in France, which isn't that hot. And she's got books, which she loves books.
Yeah.
The article talks about her literary past, where she does a bunch of very cool things when she's talking about her books that she's written. On the one hand, she's like, yeah, a lot of this is from Schiaparelli and Ceresi and other like fairy tale icons of the time. A lot of this is like basically plagiarized from them because these are folktales.
Yeah.
And I'm just writing them to write them.
Mm-hmm.
She also is like, there are a bunch of other female authors who are writing the same kind of stories that I am. And, you know, that's not a bad thing because these stories are profusive and there are a bunch of different versions. And I think that it's valuable to have my own version.
Mm-hmm.
But she also establishes that she's like, I am basically a literary historian of these folktales, which means that I have every right to tell them that a man does.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you can call it plagiarism. I call it doing my research and understanding the context in which I'm telling the stories.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Which is pretty fucking cool. But she establishes herself as like a literary presence, essentially. She's just very smart and cool. But she did not like being trapped at a chateau. So she dressed up as a man and tried to escape. Which was, at the time, a crime. Yeah. So she got sent to actual prison.
Oh, no.
She spent her time in prison, basically turning prison into not prison, where she was like, this is boring. I hate this. So she would have these little salons with all of the other prisoners, which were basically these parties that, like, some people, she had a very, like, polarizing presence in the, like, rumors and gossip of the time.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell how much of this is embellishment and how much of it is actually just her being fucking batshit crazy, which I love for her. But then she was like, depending on the account, either these were like salons where like the women in this prison would like get together and like read and talk philosophy and everything like that, which was like at the time of the French Illumination. So this is what she would have been doing outside of prison.
Yeah.
Huge, big deal thing. But also some people said that they were just orgies. And she like fully had like party supplies brought in, like wine and like fancy food and everything. And I was like, how is she funding this? And she's like, shh. Which I think is great. She like tells fairy tales to these women in the prison and everything like that, and they all just have a great time. I don't know. I love her.
Yeah.
So that's Henriette Julie Desmarats. So knowing all of that about her and knowing like her history as a woman who was probably bisexual and who was like more sexually liberated than a lot of women at the time.
We hear a lot more of these stories. They're coming specifically out of France.
Yes.
About bisexual women specifically, because I feel like we don't hear about them anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, the only times I've ever heard about bisexual women in history was from France.
Yeah.
So it's surprising to me that that would be so... I mean, again, this is the 1600s?
Late 16, early 17.
Yeah. So maybe that was just like... I feel like by the time we get to the mid 1700s, people are like, yeah, our women are going to fuck other women. Who knows? And probably your wife.
I think that up until like the 1900s in most places, it was like, yes, you can fuck other women, but you have to like, if we find out about it, you're going to be in trouble. Like, you have to be secretive about it still. Yeah. Like, everybody knows, but if there's proof, then you're in trouble, you know?
So
I think
stupid.
It's
so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like Oscar
people.
Wilde even like had that in England, and which also it's England and not France.
Yeah,
but
it's England. I will say with men, I don't think that France was. I mean, I could be way wrong, but I see that women getting a lot less flack than men getting for having like same-sex relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, in Greece, it was only men, and the women who were like, I like women, they were like, no, you don't. What? No, that's not possible.
That's your friend.
What the hell are you talking about? Look at this penis.
Just girly things.
Look at it. But yeah, France
look at this. Doesn't this look incredible? This looks great. I love this.
Look at him. He has a little hat on. Don't you think that's funny? Kind of. Why are you doing that? The Greeks are weird. Their little penis hats. That's canon.
I still have that note in my phone from that time that we were talking about how you can't do role play during sex because you're too silly.
Oh.
And it was like, I'm coming to your hat store.
Yeah, we had a whole
to
conversation.
be measured for a hat. Ooh, my head's so big and round.
It's like there's a lot of hat preamble. No sex happens.
It's like, ooh, are you going to measure my arms and legs too? Are my arms longer than my legs? Probably not, right?
It'd be weird. Oh, no, they are. I'm a giraffe.
Giraffes don't have arms.
Sad.
And then we have sex.
And sex eventually. And then sex and so on.
Etc.
Etc.
All right, I'm going to tell the story now.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to have sex.
Etc.
All right. There's a king and a queen. These king and queen have many children. All of them die.
Oh, don't laugh when you say that, Max.
Sorry, it was very sudden. I forgot. All of their children die except for one.
Okay.
The one child that survives is Princess Hawthorne, which I think is a very cool name.
Yeah.
Princess Hawthorne was so beautiful and so charming and so smart that they are almost entirely consoled of the loss of all of their other children.
Who cares about those other babies?
Yeah, we got the best baby right here.
Look how pretty and smart this one is.
As she grows up, they take great pains to make sure that she has like an incredible education. She is smart, she is sweet, she is beautiful, she is beloved by everyone. Because of all of these things, she is sought after as a bride for a bunch of kings, especially as she gets older and like more beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
By the time that she's a teenager, she has like dozens of kings just like begging on her doorstep for her to marry them.
Yeah.
But her parents are reticent to give her away in marriage because she's their only daughter.
Yeah.
So they're like, we only have the one.
Yeah.
Please don't take her away. We lost all of the other ones. So they are not particularly hasty in wanting to get her married.
Can you imagine? I mean, we talk about like the childhood trauma of like being the only child or like being the oldest girl or so. Like, can you imagine being the only surviving child out of like dozens of babies?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of pressure there, I feel.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Princess Hawthorne definitely belongs in therapy for what it's worth. But,
yeah, and so do her parents.
Yes. Everybody go to therapy.
Yeah.
So they are not particularly in a rush to give her away in marriage. Rumors of her beauty, though, spread across many kingdoms far and wide, and eventually they reach all the way to the king of the ogres, whose name is Rhinoceros.
Ah!
Rhinoceros is a great tyrant and a king of many lands, but he is cruel and ugly and evil.
Okay.
He has like more money than God, basically. So nobody can tell him no for anything. And he's also really gross. He's a shapeshifter, and he can be like a guy who looks like an ogre, or he can be a rhinoceros. He can be a bunch of other stuff also.
An ogre that looks like a guy.
Yeah, you can be an ogre that looks like a rhinoceros, or kind of like a water horse situation.
He sounds a lot like our president.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Yoy.
So we're all thinking it.
Rhinoceros, the king of the ogres, hears about this incredibly beautiful woman, and he's like, well, I'm the most powerful person in the world, so I'm going to marry her. Like, she's the only person who is suited to me.
Sure.
He goes with a delegation of his people to the Princess Hawthorne's kingdom, and they are received in great honors because, again, they're very, very powerful. And he's like, anyways, I would like to marry the Princess Hawthorne. And Hawthorne's father is like, oh, you would? Get fucked. Fuck you, absolutely not.
Goodbye.
And then the ambassador to the kingdom of the ogres like runs up to the king and is like, my lord, my lord. He's so powerful and he has a massive army and they're like outside, like right now. Mm-hmm. So if you tell him no, he's going to slaughter you and your family and take over your kingdom. So like, I don't want to tell you what to do, but like you have to make your daughter marry him. Like, there's no alternative. Like, either she can marry him or you can all be killed. Everyone. All of you, your subjects, everybody could be killed.
And probably he still marries her anyway.
And probably he still marries or murders her anyways.
Yeah.
So, and the king is like, fuck, shit. So he calls Hawthorne for an audience and the two of them talk and he explains the situation. He's like, the army is outside. We literally cannot say no. But also, if you want to say no, let's do it. I will die for this. Aww. And she's like, I don't want my parents to die for me to just super definitely end up getting married anyways.
Yeah.
So she agrees to marry King Rhinoceros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please. His proper title. Have some respect.
King Rhino.
King Rhino.
Princess Hawthorne is, as always, the picture of grace. Mm-hmm. She prepares herself for this wedding to this horrible, horrible man. They have a small ceremony in her parents' castle, and then she gets all of her things ready to move to his kingdom, the kingdom of the ogres. She's allowed to bring one servant with her, and she brings a girl named Corianda, which I think is a beautiful name. Mm. All of the names in this are really cool.
That's just coriander without the R.
Yeah. All of the names in this are very cool in very different ways. Cilantro? That would be a beautiful name.
There's a trend on TikTok that's like going through, like me and my best friend going back and forth with names that if they didn't have a meaning would be beautiful baby names. Mm-hmm. And one of them was like chlamydia, which is a beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of them. All of the STDs actually, gonorrhea.
Yeah. What is it? Rubella?
Rubella, that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Mitochondria.
Yeah. Yeah. Celery.
I like celery.
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be the name of a princess in a French fairy tale, like celery with an IE at the end. Yeah.
Which is basically what happens in the French Rapunzel.
Yeah.
So
Parsonet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the French love naming girls after plants. And I love that for them.
Yeah.
This is kind of a long story, which is why I'm going a little bit quickly. Just
Go ahead.
So you know.
This is kind of a long story.
Sorry. I had to take a little dance break. She's allowed to bring her basically maidservant with her, Corianda. She serves as her confidant and her only solace in this like time of great distress. Mm-hmm. On the ride to the kingdom of ogres, Hawthorne like opens her heart to Corianda and is like, I really don't want to do this, but I don't have an alternative. But like, I've heard horrible things about this man. I'm worried that he's going to hurt me. Like, I don't want to be in this kingdom. I don't want to be away from my parents. I don't want to be married. I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
But I have to. And, and Corianda is deeply sympathetic to the princess. And through like being her confidant is able to relieve her of some of this anxiety about where she's going. And she's like, whatever happens, I'm going to be there with you. I will do everything that I can to take care of you. Corianda also has a secret. Corianda was really worried about the Princess Hawthorne. Mm-hmm. So she went to the Princess Hawthorne's fairy godmother, whose name is Meddler. Medlar. the fairy meddler, which I think is
Sure.
appropriate.
Sure.
She went to her fairy godmother, Meddler, and was like, hey, the princess is about to be married off to the king of the ogres, Rhinoceros.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do anything to help? And Meddler was like, and nobody asked me for my consent for her to get married to this guy? And she's like, well, no, it was all very sudden. And she's like, well, then I'm not helping her.
Metal! What the hell?
Meddle already. Why don't ya?
Come on.
So Corianta has gone to Meddler and basically found out that the fairy godmother is not willing to help. But she doesn't want to tell Hawthorne this because she's like, you've gotten enough bad news already. I like that in this story, though, because Meddler comes up a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's cool that they like close the plot hole of like, why didn't they just have the fairy godmother intervene?
She mad.
Yeah, she mad.
She big mad.
Yeah. It's a very long ride to get to the Kingdom of the Ogres, but finally they arrive. And in spite of how long and grueling this ride is, the Princess Hawthorne steps out of the carriage and everyone in the Kingdom of the Ogres gasps at her beauty. The King Rhinoceros himself sees her and lets out a jovial bellow that shakes all the mountains around.
Oh!
Yay!
Waluigi! Or I guess that would be Toad. I don't know. He's definitely some sort of Mario Kart creature.
Yeah, he's some kind of Mario. Yeah, honestly, picture Bowser for the rest of this.
Okay, done. And also, aren't Peach and Bowser kind of low-key doing it on the side? Isn't that like...
That's not established, but it is suspected.
Read my many fan fiction.
He lets out this mighty bellow of delight at seeing the vision of his beautiful bride. And it's so terrifying that the Princess Hawthorne faints.
Mm-hmm.
And Corianda is like, oh, she just does that. It's not personal. She just needs to rest. She's very tired.
I said this recently. I made a TikTok post about this, but I fully believe that, like, we got rid of swooning too fast.
Yeah.
I think we should bring it back.
Yeah.
Because
I would love
like,
to be able to like swoon out of situations.
Well, and that was it, is that Victorian ladies were like, I'm not having a great time. And then like a hot man would have to come and like give them stuff.
Yeah.
Like bring them stuff.
Yeah, bring them water and let them go home.
Or like a little treat or something to smell. Or like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they got to either go home or the situation was over and they were like, great, on to the next subject because that subject upset me.
Yeah.
Let's not bring it up. I mean, women, we fought so hard to like be on juries and get jury duty. And we fought so hard to do all this stuff. And we got rid of swooning. It was a perfect way to get out of uncomfortable situations. God, sometimes women get in their own way.
Yeah, I think it's good that we don't have to do it like the corsetry and everything like that doesn't require that women be in situations where they have to swoon. But I do think we should bring it back as like a hobby.
I think that should just be socially acceptable
Yes.
to like be like, oh, this is fucking boring. Oh god, here we go. Like,
Yeah. I'm sick.
I
Bye.
I didn't like that weird Bowser yell he did.
Anyways, bye.
And then your friend is forced to be like, she does that.
Honestly, hell yeah. So very quickly, King Rhinoceros is like, oh, she just does that. Well, that's fine. I'm going to go lock you guys in a tower. So he turns into a rhinoceros and throws them over his back. And then they ride him to the tower and he locks them in the tower.
Seems like a good power to have. I'd be okay with like my husband turning into a rhinoceros and like letting me ride on him places.
Rhinos are so mean, though.
No, they're not mean. They're blind.
That's true. That's fair. I'm thinking of hippos.
Hippos are so mean. Guys, rhinos are blind. So like you can get really close to them, but the second they realize you're close to them, they freak the fuck out because it's disorienting to have somebody close to them. And that's when they like, and they'll get you. But they're not like out to get you. You just scare them because they're blind.
Poor baby.
I know.
King Rhinoceros then goes out to engage in one of his favorite pastimes where he goes out and catches bears for dinner.
Sure.
And he's like, she'll be hungry when she wakes up. I'll go get like 2, maybe 3 bears. How much do girls eat?
About 2 or 3 bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's correct.
As soon as King Rhinoceros is gone, the princess wakes up from her fake swoon and like just...
Oh, it was a fake swoon.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Or it's unclear whether it like was an actual swoon and then she like woke up and was like, oh, he's still here, and like pretended to keep swooning. I think that that's kind of what it was implying.
Yeah.
So the princess wakes from her fake swoon and cries to Corianda, and she's like, I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't do this. Like, everyone here is so horrible and I can't be here for the rest of my life. I've got to find some way to get out of this.
Yeah, fair.
Corianda is like, okay, it's all right. We'll figure something out. And she like looks around in this room that they're locked in, and she sees that there's just a pile of bear skins in the corner, which apparently King Rhinoceros has been keeping because he's going to make himself a big coat for winter.
Nice.
And the story is like, because he's thrifty. It's kind of judgy about it. And it's like, that just seems like you're using your resources.
Yeah, and like you're not wasting things off the bears that you're eating. It seems like he has to eat a lot.
Yeah, so maybe...
Would you prefer he throws them away?
Like, yeah, anyways. It's a weird choice on the story's part to be like, and that sucks, actually.
There's worse things about him, for sure.
For sure. It's
the fact that he's going to make his own clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, his scrimping and saving is not the bad thing about him. It's the tyranny that he does. And
it's possibly the extortion and the murder.
Yeah, and also the fact that he keeps threatening to eat people is a big thing, I think. Yeah. For me, anyways. That's like a red flag. Mm-hmm. So Corianda sees this pile of bear skins, and she tells Princess Hawthorne to climb into one of the bear skins and hide herself. And she's like, and then he'll come in and like, I'll be like, she's missing, and then we'll go look for you, and then you'll have a chance to escape. Mm-hmm. So she helps Princess Hawthorne find the nicest of the bear skins, because she's still a princess, and helps her to climb into this bear skin and wrap herself up. But something magical happens. As she climbs into the bear skin fuses with her skin, and she turns into the most beautiful Lady Bear.
Ah, Lady La Bear!
Lady La Bear.
This bear has hips.
Yeah.
And a cinched waist.
This bear is snatched. This magical transformation happens, and Corianda is like, oh my god, it must be your fairy godmother. She must have relented and decided to help us after all.
I don't know about that.
And Hawthorne is like, yes, that must be it. And then she realizes that she's a bear and she can still talk. And she's like, yay, I can still talk. And I also have a human brain still.
Yeah, I'm not trying to eat my good friend Corianda. She turns into just an actual bear, mauls Corianda to death.
Corianda is like, hooray, now let's get you out of here. And the doors magically unlock. Oh. The fairy.
Yeah, sure.
I assume.
Or they just hadn't tried the knob. Girls.
They open the doors, and Corianda releases this bear, and the bear princess runs off, and she has full confidence that the fairy is going to take her where she needs to go. So then Corianda goes back into the room, and she locks herself in.
He's out.
Hunting bears.
Hunting bears.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
I don't know if this was the best plan.
For sure, he super is. Yeah, for sure.
Also, Corianda, go with her.
Well, but then they'll know that she's escaped.
And instead, they're going to be like, she was eaten by a bear.
Maybe.
All right.
So Corianda closes herself in the tower, and she waits. Eventually, the King Rhino returns. Corianda is pretending to sleep in the little bed on the floor. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Princess, hello? And she pretends to wake up, and she's like, Princess, good morning. And she goes over to the bed, and she sees that it's empty, and she's like, the princess is gone. And he's like, what did you do with her? And she's like, what did you do with her? You're the only one with the key. And he's like, I'm the only one with the key. Oh my god. No. She's like, what did you do to her? What did you do to her? Did you eat her? And he's like, I would never eat her. And she's like, oh, it's the only thing that makes sense is that you came in here and you ate her. And he's like, I didn't eat her. Stop saying that or I'm going to eat you. And she's like, okay, whoa, let's everybody calm down.
Well, that's further proof that you eat girls.
Out here eating girls.
Yeah, you're eating girls and
how much
bears.
Girls do you eat?
Answer the question.
So they get in this fight. Then she's like, well, maybe she's in here somewhere. And she like goes looking through all the bear skins and under the bed and everything. And he's like, yeah, let's look. And they look together for the princess.
Is it just me or are these two kind of bonding?
I think that's the way that I'm telling it. He's still a real asshole.
Sure.
But together they look for the Princess Hawthorne. Obviously, Corianda knows that she's not there. But eventually he gets frustrated and he's like, well, she's not here. So he goes out into the wide world to look for her. Meanwhile, the Princess Hawthorne, in bear form, is being guided by the fairy magic to the seashore. She gets to the seashore where there's a little abandoned boat waiting for her. She climbs into the boat with her bare hands.
Sure.
Seashore.
Sure.
And the boat magically whisks her away to another kingdom far, far away. A beautiful faraway land full of flowers. The she-bear lands in a meadow that is like just has this beautiful golden sunlight filtering through the trees and all of these colorful flowers everywhere. The sound of like bird song, and this bear climbs out of the boat and like lands on the ground and is like, and immediately gives all of her thanks to all of the fairies and the gods for helping her to escape from her horrible situation. And then she's stuck with the reality that she's a bear. And she's like, I'm really hungry. I've been at sea for a while.
Uh-oh.
What do bears eat? And she has to figure out what bears eat. And it turns out that bears eat acorns.
She's like, what do girl bears eat?
How much do girl bears eat?
Do bears eat acorns?
I don't think so.
I feel like bears just eat whatever they see.
Yeah.
They're the
Bears eat
seafood.
berries and honey and fish. And I know all those for sure. I don't know what else they eat, but I know that they eat those things.
Got it.
So she tries out some acorns and she's like, these are actually kind of fine. Maybe. She goes to get a nice cool drink of water from the river and she sees the reflection of her face and she thinks about, she's like, oh my God, I'm a bear. I'm so ugly. No one will ever love me. And then she thinks to herself, oh, I'm a bear. I'm so ugly. No one will ever love me. Yay.
And she bellows in excitement. Wow!
And she thinks about the fact that her beauty was actually kind of a curse. And she's like, this curse to be a bear is actually kind of a blessing because I don't have to worry about men anymore.
This is a story written by a woman.
Yes,
this
absolutely.
is the most written by a woman story you've ever told.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. It reminded me of that scene in A Knight's Tale where Shannon Sossamon, whose character's name I don't remember, Jocelyn goes, it like ends up in the Abbey, kind of.
Yeah.
And she's like, I only laugh that I may not cry. And the guy is like, pray that your beauty fades swiftly, that you may better serve God. And then she's like, oh my God, I love your ring. That scene, this reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch that movie if you haven't. Why haven't you?
That movie is fantastic and you should watch it.
Yeah. And that scene's really funny.
Maybe we should watch it.
Maybe we should watch it.
Yeah, maybe that's what we do instead of recording episode 169. Because we all watch A Knight's Tale.
Yeah. I watched 169 for my 30th birthday. Nope. I watched A Knight's Tale for my 30th birthday.
I was about to agree.
I watched 169.
And she fell asleep. Exhausted. How do they do that? So flexible.
It just doesn't seem like anyone's having as much fun as they would be having otherwise.
No, it seems like more work than, okay, actually, let's not
It seems like the novelty is really...
We like the word. We don't...
Listen, it's funny, but like...
Hit us up if you actually liked 69.
Don't do that.
Email at Max.
This land that the she-bear princess has landed in is called the Kingdom of Felicity. Okay. So it's no surprise that she's very happy when she's there.
Yeah.
Because that's what that means. The reason why this kingdom is known as the Kingdom of Felicity is because it is governed by a young king, and he's perfect. He's hot and smart and cool. He's super nice.
Yeah.
His name sounds like the name of an evil wizard. I'm just going to prep you for that. But
Grombo.
The King Grombo.
Oh, the handsome King Grombo. You wouldn't be able to get past it, would you?
Probably not. He is handsome. He's charming. He is noble and admirable. He's talented. He's smart. He's funny. He's studious. He has his own little like study and he loves to read books and he like writes things.
Yeah, cool.
And he's very smart and cool.
But his name is Grombo.
No.
Okay.
His name is Zelindor.
Zelindor. He sounds like son of Zoltar.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally the only complaint that his people have about him is that
his name is too long. Hard to spell.
Zelindor. No, the only complaint that they have about him is that like women in the court are constantly falling in love with him and any of them would be a suitable match for him, but he is not interested in any of them.
Yeah, Zelindor sounds a little gay, doesn't he? They're like, he's perfect, he's so funny, he's nice to women, and it's like, yeah. So this doesn't exist in straight men.
That I definitely also had that thought a little bit. And like, he's surrounded by all these women. He's like, none of them are interesting to me, actually.
I actually think of them all kind of like sisters. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to hang out and have fun with them because I'm nice and not straight.
Yeah, definitely possible that Zelindor is a little queer. It's also cool because his mom is still alive and like advises him on things, which also feels very written by a woman.
Yeah,
you know?
she's like, we're not orphaning him and we're not going to have him raised by a man.
No.
This man is raised by women.
And that's why he's good. And not bad.
Yeah.
He is a fantastic king. Everyone loves him. He constantly is like holding big feasts and inviting everyone in the kingdom, not just the rich people. The girls all love him. He's great. Basically, the point is...
Max is doing the wrist thing as she's doing this, not on purpose.
He's great.
The girls all love it. As her wrist is just flying.
Is he, the young King Zelindor?
You know what he's looking for? A bear. I do love him.
He's great. I love him a lot.
Yeah, much better than Grombo, his brother.
His brother Grombo. Grombo is not a character in this story. I just want to remind everyone, Grombo is a character that Janey made up. The princess lives for 3 months in the forest as a bear before she crosses paths with King Zelindor.
Yeah.
Zelindor, among all of his other talents, is an incredibly skilled and merciful hunter.
Oh.
So he is out in the woods on a hunting party. She is by a river having a little sippy sip.
Yeah.
And she hears this huge hunting party coming through. And forgetting that she's a bear, she goes to go see. And she sees like all of these incredible, like handsome hunters all throughout the woods. And she's like, wow, amazing. And so she just watches all of these hunters. And then the hunters see a bear who's just hanging out being like, wow.
Doing the awkward bear wave.
Little bear wave.
And they're like, oh, hi. They're like waving back.
We need to link that video in the show notes for this episode.
Every time we talk about bears, we reference that video. Just go ahead and just search bears waving. You're going to love it.
It's so good. The hunting party sees this big, beautiful bear. BBB. BBB. And King Zelindor, who is the bravest and strongest of all of the hunters, immediately goes to slay this mighty beast. And he like races at this bear with his sword outstretched. And Princess Bear sees him coming and is like, oh. And then she just like sort of like lays down on the ground and bows to him.
Okay, so this is what I was thinking. If I was in this situation and I was a bear and there's a hunting party, I think I would go on my back and just start like wiggling around, showing my belly, like the way that Leaf does when we walk by him. Genuinely, you wouldn't be able to shoot that bear.
Yeah.
Just like rolling
just go into
around.
full like fawn mode.
Yeah. Or start like doing a weird inchworm thing.
Doing the Macarena.
Like I would be doing.
I'm just a guy. Just a girl.
We can't shoot the bear that does the Macarena. That bear is doing the YMCA. And she's killing it.
She's doing so good.
Is that bear teaching us how to Dougie? Oh my god.
I think that bear is hitting the whip. And now she's hitting the nay-nay.
Get the fuck out. I gotta hang out with this bear.
This bear's cool as shit.
Uh-oh. Oh, okay, it's a white bear. It's doing the sprinkler. Sorry, no, kill that bear.
Now she's reeling it in. All right.
Okay, all right. And he consents to being reeled in. Anyway, that's what I would do if I was a bear.
That's what she does.
Oh, good.
Absolutely, almost exactly what she does.
Perfect.
She sees him running at her and she's like, oh shit, I'm a bear. And immediately she like drops to her knees and bows before him. And he's like, yes, you bear, I will slay you. And he like raises his sword and she just like kind of like lays her head down and looks up at him. And he's like, aw. And he like just like is like, ah. And then he just like taps her on the head with the sword. And she just like blinks at him.
Okay, but also she can talk. Did she forget that she still has the power of human speech?
It's been 3 months.
She's like, hey, Hi.
What's up, Grandma?
No, that's my twin brother. I'm Zoltar.
She actually finds out at this moment in the story that she can no longer speak. She's lost the ability to speak.
Well,
from being in the woods.
What an inconvenient time to find out you can't speak anymore.
Yeah, which is weird to me because just in the story, why did she have the ability to speak at all?
Maybe it was like lingering humanity.
Maybe. I mean, that's what I would assume.
She's
but
lost the
also,
ability
there's no
to
like story reason for it to be that she ever had the ability to talk as a bear.
She's lost the ability to speak, but she's gained the ability to crump.
Yeah, she's crumping.
She is crumping. She's a bear.
Let the bear crump.
Let the bears crump.
So he taps her with his sword, and she just blinks at him with her big old bear eyes. And he puts his sword away, and she like holds out one of her big bear paws, and he's like, "What do you want?" And then she like does grabby hands, and he's like, "What do you want?" And then he like gives her his hands.
Aww.
And she like gives them little bear kisses.
Oh, with their long fucking tongue.
Yeah. So she kisses and licks his hand, and he's like, "Aw, she's a nice bear." I love this bear.
Yeah.
So he's wearing a big, beautiful scarf, and he takes it off, and he wraps it around her neck like a little leash.
I was going to say, as like a tag to be like, nobody kill this bear, it's wearing my scarf, would be
also
cool. Yeah.
Also, though, and he tells his men, "Don't kill this bear.
Yeah.
This is a good bear. This is my bear now." It's like a little collar leash scenario.
Yeah.
And he walks her back to his castle.
No, leave her in the woods. She's happy there.
No.
I can't live in a castle.
She's so well-mannered.
Sure.
So he brings her home and he sets her up in his little garden, which he has his study on the side of the castle that leads out into a little like closed-in garden. And he brings her to his little garden, which I think is really cute.
Oh, okay.
And he like lets her loose in the garden, and he like shows her around. He's like, "This is the pond. You can hang out in here if you want. There's some fish. You can eat them if you want. Just let me know so I can put more fish in.
Yeah.
Here's all my trees. Here's some flowers. I'm gonna get some berry bushes in here for you. Would you like that?" And like he just like shows her around his garden, and he's like, "And you can poke your little head in. Here's my study. This is where I hang out.
Come in whenever."
And then he just hangs out and like talks to her for a little while, and he's like, "I'm so glad that I found you. You're such a good bear." And she's like, "Thank you." So now she's in this little garden, and she quickly finds herself falling in love with this man. He's very kind. He's very sweet and soft-spoken.
Girl, we have all been there.
Hey,
all right?
It happens.
It happens.
He's very intelligent, and he like trusts her. Like he comes to her with like the problems of the kingdom, and, like talks through them to this bear. And he's like, "You're such a pretty bear. Look at you. Like, look how clean your fur is. You're so beautiful. Look at your big, beautiful
waist.
Yeah, look at your big, beautiful bear eyes. You're the prettiest bear I've ever seen." And she's like, "Oh my God, stop."
Wow.
But the more she falls in love with him, the more dejected she becomes because she can't speak and she's a bear. Yeah. And she's like, "How could he ever love me? I'm so ugly and a bear."
That's rude. You're probably beautiful for a bear.
For a bear. It establishes that she's the most beautiful bear, which I don't know if people can reflect that. So sometimes he comes in and she's just crying because she's so sad that she's a bear and not a girl.
Oh my God, if you saw a bear crying, wouldn't that just break your heart?
Yes. And so he like comes in and like pets her until she stops crying and everything and just takes care of her. Eventually she becomes so dejected that she just like lays in the middle of the garden, like crying until she has no more tears. And then she just kind of like moans and then starts crying again. He comes out and he is like, "You're not happy.
Yeah.
You seem really sad.
Put her back in the wild."
But he like takes cool water from the pond and he like washes off her muzzle and like cleans her eyes and everything and is like, "You don't have to be sad. Like, I'm going to take care of you. It's okay.
No,
what do you want?
Back in the woods.
You want a big tire to play with?"
Why did I get excited? Yeah.
Do you want a big tire to play with?
I might want a tire swing. You know, I used to have one in Japan until that bitch Erin Dorsey came and cut it down with a knife.
That bitch. With a knife? Who gave that? Whoa.
Yeah, I hit her sister over the head with a big stick once. It was a
Before
violent
or
time
after?
in Japan. It wasn't even attached to it. Two separate instances.
Huh. He holds her little bear paws, and she looks up at him with her big old bear eyes and tries to communicate her thanks to him. And I'm just going to read a little quote from this. But you're quite charming, said young Zelindor. I can scarcely believe it, my good little bear. Can you really understand me? The bear nodded that yes, she could. He hasn't tried this before. Overcome with joy to discover that she was capable of reason, the king kissed her.
Oh, no.
She modestly turned her face away and took a step back. What? Exclaimed Zelindor. Won't you let me touch you, you sweet little bear?
Okay, this guy's a fucking creep now.
How amusing. What do you want of me then? Could it be you don't love me?
Ew!
This becomes very weird all of a sudden.
Turns out, fucking Zelindor not as good as Grombo.
I mean, he seems like a genuinely good guy, but like...
Now he's being fucking weird to a bear.
He does now... Listen... He does now know that this bear is capable of like human level understanding and hypothetically consent. He's just
I'm
a furry.
sorry, he doesn't now
He's a furry.
He doesn't now know that. Because a bear nodded.
Well, yeah.
Ask even a few more questions. Give her more tests. Bears nod all the time, I assume. Oh, it's waving at me. That means it wants
to fuck.
I didn't want to say that, but sure. I was hoping to avoid that, Max.
Nope. And he begins to lament that this bear maybe actually doesn't return his feelings.
Ew!
And the bear can't figure out how to express like the complicated thing of like, yes, I return your feelings, but I'm a bear, but I'm also a girl. So it's hard for me that like we have this really deep emotional connection, but I know that you are a king and can't marry a bear, and I don't know how to become not a bear. So it's like we can't be together even if we want to. And knowing that you want to be with me doesn't change like the facts of the matter. Actually kind of makes it worse for me because now it's kind of like my fault a little bit that I'm a bear and that we, you know, and so she's trying to communicate this complicated thing of like, I have feelings for you, but I'm a bear. So instead she goes over to a little orange tree that is next to the pond and she breaks off a branch and she brings it to him.
No.
And he's like, oh, you do like me. Okay. Okay. And they continue on. He makes her a little grotto with like very nice, fancy, lush grass that she can play around in. He spends all of his time out in this little garden with her talking. He like starts to be kind of irresponsible about affairs of the state because he's just constantly hanging out with this bear. She falls deeper and deeper in love with him. Anytime that he's not around, she's very jealous. And she's like, he's off with human girls.
Those bitches.
Those bitches. She learns that she can use her little bear claw to scratch letters into trees.
I was going to ask you this. Why hasn't she just tried to like scratch a note into the dirt? Yeah. You know?
But she uses her little bear claw and she...
Bear claw!
And she scratches little poems and like diary entries into the trees about how she's like, I know he loves me, but like when he leaves, I'm like, what if there's someone else? Like, what if he's married and he just hasn't told me or something?
Why aren't you writing to him?
I don't know.
What if he's married? Even
and
bears deal with this bullshit.
Yeah, and then she remembers that she's married and she's like, oh, God damn it, I'm married.
Did the wedding happen?
Yeah, they had like the small little wedding at her parents' castle. She's like, oh, so like it wouldn't even work out if I was a person.
Sure.
Bah. So she's very upset. One night she's crying by the pond when a carp comes up to the surface of the water and says, don't worry. The voice that I assume a carp has.
Be happy. It's a big Billy Bass.
Big Billy Carp. It says, don't worry. Fairy Meddler's watching you.
Well, stop it.
And then the carp climbs out of the water and onto the lawn and transforms into a beautiful, very tall woman.
Horrifying.
It transforms into the Fairy Meddler.
I mean, okay.
Which sounds pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like fun.
The Fairy Meddler appears fully dressed in like beautiful scintillating robes. Her hair's all done up nice. And she's like, it's me, the Fairy Meddler. I've tested your patience for long enough, so don't worry. You're not married to Rhino. Doesn't explain why or how.
I annulled the marriage.
Actually,
you're not, because you never consummated the marriage.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That could be a good reason. And she says, don't worry, you're going to marry Zelindor. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break here. I'm going to make it so you're not a bear at night. So you can be a girl at night.
If you want to get nasty.
If you're trying to get nasty. But you do still have to be a bear during the day. But I'm working on it. And, like, we'll get you to a point where you're a girl all the time. You'll be married to Zelendor. It's going to be great. But you just got to wait a little bit longer. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And in the morning, when dawn comes, you have to put the bear skin back on. You have to. It's the rules.
What if you don't?
I don't know. Just don't. Janey, just don't. What have we learned from every single fairy tale? When a fairy tells you, just do this thing, it's the rules.
You know what? You're right. I'm no better than any of these fairy tale heroines.
But what if I didn't?
But what if I did something different, like the exact opposite?
I know you told me to do this thing and that you're helping me out and that I would be really fucked if you weren't, but, like, what if I didn't?
But also, I think it's kind of fucked up that she was like, don't worry, I'm going to help you now. Like, why? What lesson were you trying to teach me? I did nothing wrong. Anyway, thank you for letting me fuck at night.
Yeah. So night falls and Princess Hawthorne transforms from the bear back into a princess. She spends the whole night picking flowers around the little meadow, and she makes them into a beautiful wreath that she hangs on the prince's study door. I think it's kind of cute.
Sure.
She desperately wants to, like, knock on the door and be like, hey, it's me, the princess. But she's like, I don't want to fuck up whatever the fairy is doing. So I'm just going to wait for her to figure it out. And, like, I'm going to not spoil whatever is going on. Because clearly there's some kind of magical shit that I'm not supposed to be, like, whatever.
She's better than me.
Yeah. So she doesn't want to disobey the fairy meddler's instructions and get into trouble because she's like, she's helping me out.
Sure.
So now she's a girl at night and a bear during the day. And he still comes and hangs out with her for the whole day. So actually, she's a girl from midnight until dawn.
Okay.
But during the day, the king still comes out and hangs out with her all the time. She starts to show him her poems. And he loves them and he's so impressed. Sometimes he, like, brings people in to hang out with her. And she hates it. And so she writes a bunch of poems about how she's like, I hate this. I don't want to hang out with anyone else. I just want to hang out with you.
That's unhealthy, girl. That's unhealthy.
Yeah, the story is like, you know, when you're in love and anyone who's not that person is really annoying to you. And I was like, ooh.
Okay.
That seems a little concerning, but all right.
I don't know about that.
She gives him words of advice on the various troubles of the kingdom that he's communicated to her, kind words about him that she just scratches into the trees. He finds that he's no longer able to go hunting because he's like, I'm kind of in love with a bear. I probably shouldn't be.
I'm a vegetarian now.
Eventually, he realizes that he is fully in love with her. He's like, I'm in love with her. I am attracted to her. I don't know what to do about this because she is a bear.
Yeah.
And that's weird of me because she's a bear.
Yeah.
Because she's a bear. But he thinks to himself and he's like, there's no way that she's just a bear. Like,
yeah, fair.
She can write.
And nod.
And nod and wave and twerk.
She can balance in a little ball. And she loves a tire swing. That's not a bear.
That's not a bear. That's a girl.
That's a girl. That's classic girl things.
So he goes to her one day and he says, you can't really be a bear, right? You're not a bear. You're like something disguised as a bear, right? Am I right? Not because it would be weird if you were a bear. You're not a bear, right?
This is it Shang from Mulan? Questioning Ping.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like really a soldier, like a male soldier, right? That'd be weird for me, right? You're probably something else. Yes?
Yes.
You're not like a boy that I have a crush on.
I would love to not have to examine this.
I would really like to not have to explain to my parents all the things that are happening inside of me right now.
So he's like, but like not a bear. Why don't you just Can you just tell me what you are?
Not yet a woman.
That would be a really good title.
Britney Spears is doing the soundtrack for this movie.
Incredible. He asks her, like, you're not a bear, right? So, like, tell me who you are. And she's like, I don't want to piss off the fairy. And, like, she said that she would help me if I was just patient.
Yeah.
So she refuses to tell him who or what she is. He's like, okay, so I'm just someone who's in love with a bear. And she's like, And he's like, okay, well, God damn it. He fully throws a temper tantrum.
Okay.
And then he storms back into the castle. He gets his boys together. And he's like, boys, we're going hunting.
I mean, what an asshole.
Yeah, pretty toxic.
You want to come up? She just begged to come up. Sorry, Fig is here now.
Pretty girl. So he goes out hunting with the boys. And they ride far and far and far away until they get to a forest. And he's like, this seems like good hunting. And then they get a little bit further into the forest and he realizes that it's the forest where he found the bear. And now he's thinking about the bear again. God damn it. He's like, God damn it. And then he's like, sends his boys away. He's like, I don't want to, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. He sits down underneath of a tree and is like, what am I going to do? I'm so in love with a bear. Oh no. And then he feels a rumbling in the earth around him.
Oh.
The tree that he's leaning against splits open, and a very tall and beautiful woman steps out of the tree in bejeweled garb.
Ooh.
And he immediately throws himself on the ground and bows before what he assumes correctly is a fairy.
Yeah.
The fairy says, do you really think that a king whom we deign to protect can ever be unhappy? Come on. Come on. Return to your palace as fast as you can and save from despair one whom you have abandoned out of an excess of scruple. So immediately the king turns around, he gets back on his horse, and he rides home as fast as he can to his bear lover. Now I just want to go back for a second.
Yeah.
Save from despair one whom you have abandoned out of an excess of scruple.
Got no scruples. None. Not a single scruple to be found.
Well, what it sounds like she's saying is she's like, don't be a prude. Go fuck that bear. Like, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
She's like, you're really hung up on this? True love finds a way. Go fuck that bear.
Ew. Ew.
Really seems like what she's saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. So he rides home as fast as he can. When he arrives home, it's been 3 days since he left.
Mm-hmm.
He finds the bear out in the garden, laying on her side, heartbroken.
Yeah.
She has heard that he is gone, and she's like, well, he's never coming back because he hates me because I'm ugly and a bear.
This is his house.
Yeah. She's so heartbroken that she is on the brink of death with heartbreak. So she's just laying on the ground, like her heart is barely beating. Her body is growing cold. The king sees her and runs up and calls out to her and like wipes her muzzle and everything and like pets her head and whispers sweet nothings to her. And his voice brings her back from the brink of death. And she like wakes back up and is like, and he like kisses her paws and kisses her big bare face.
I'm so uncomfortable with this story.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I was examining it too much, and that's on me. I was being a real prude about it. And so the story specifically says that he apologizes for prying. Where he was like,
I shouldn't have
tell me
asked.
who you are. Yeah, and he's like, I should have just accepted that if you wanted me to know, you would tell me.
Oh my God, imagine being one of his subjects who's like, hey, we're kind of starving out here. And they look out the window and they just see him like talking to a bear. And they're like, oh, fuck.
You tell me in your own time.
Like, oh no. Listen, don't be mad anymore, baby.
I'm sorry.
Like, this is why he hasn't given the kingdom an heir? Because he's talking to a bear?
A bear? They kiss and make up, and they spend the whole day together, and he talks to her, and he's like, I was hunting, and I realized I was like, that's a dick move, but like the boys were there, and I didn't want to be like, never mind, because then they would make fun of me. So I was like, I guess I'll go hunting, but I felt really bad about it. So we didn't actually do any hunting, but like we were out, and I was like, it's still a hunt. And they were like, this is a bad hunt. And I was like, shut up. Anyways, I yelled at the boys, and I'm not super thrilled about that. And so they're just talking
Sure.
for the whole day, and they lose track of time. Night falls, and they don't even notice. And then midnight comes, and as they are talking, magic begins to happen. And the bear sheds its bearskin and becomes a beautiful princess dressed in a simple dress, crowned only in her own beautiful hair. And Zelindor, reminder that that's his name.
Oh my God, yeah.
Immediately runs up and embraces her. He says, it's a miracle. Was it really you I tried to run away from? Was it really you I was afraid to love? And in this moment, the fairy meddler appears, and the princess is like, oh no, I broke the one rule. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh god damn it. The one rule. Oh no. And the fairy meddler is like, oh no, you're fine. This was my design. I wanted this to happen, actually.
All right.
So you guys are going to get married now. You have my blessing. It's going to be great. I'm going to do all of the outfits for the wedding.
What happened to Coriander?
That's a great question. We'll go back.
Okay.
But she's like, we're going to do a wedding, but like, we need a little time to plan the wedding. And until you get married, you're going to have to like keep the same like girl bear scenario. So you've got like 24 hours.
Which is kind of like a girl boss scenario.
Yeah.
But you're a bear.
She's like, 24 hours, midnight tomorrow, you guys should get married. I've got to go start making some dresses.
Oh.
Let's go do a makeover. So the king immediately runs into the castle and he wakes everyone up. Reminder that it's still midnight.
Yeah.
He runs in and wakes everyone up and he's like, I'm getting married tomorrow. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, we've got to plan a wedding right now. And everyone's like, the king's gone crazy.
You're dreaming, my lord.
My lord. And they're like, who are you marrying? And he's like, I'll never tell. You'll just have to wait and see. And they're like, oh my God, the king's gone crazy. And they go to the queen and they're like, the king's gone crazy. And she sits down with her son and she's like, hey,
have you gone crazy?
Zelly, listen, what's going on? And she talks to him and he seems perfectly sane. The only thing that's crazy is that he wants to plan a wedding in 24 hours and have the wedding at midnight. And she's like, that's weird, but he seems like he's fine otherwise. And we've been trying to get him to get married for like a long time. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone prepares for the wedding. Night falls once more and everything is set up in one of the grand hallways for a beautiful and magnificent royal wedding. All of the girls in the castle who are all in love with Zelindor are like, oh, he's not saying who the bride is, so it's me. So they all get very dressed up and they all wait outside of the wedding hall. And he like walks up in his gown and they all are like, hi, my love. And he's like, oh, no, sorry, it's not any of you. I'm sorry. I should have said that. That was rude of me. It's not any of you. And then he like takes a step back and he's like, but damn, y'all look good right now. Like if I wasn't marrying my wife, I would feel a little bit bad about being not attracted to you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Certified wife guy.
Yeah.
My notes say, damn, y'all look good, but not as good as my wife. She's a bear.
She's a real bear. No, she's a real bear. She's a real bear.
She's a real bear.
She's a real bear.
The king goes in his procession and goes up to the altar where he's seated on his throne. And then he calls for the bear to be fetched. And throughout the hall, everyone's like,
oh no.
Why, my lord?
LOL?
To hang out and watch the ceremony, right?
Is she
my lord?
the ring bearer?
The ring bear?
Please let this be a bad
Please tell us that she's the ring bearer. And at this point, everyone in the hall is kind of like, okay, we were all trying not to think it, but like, is he going to marry the bear? Like, he only hangs out with the bear.
Yeah.
It really seems like he's going to marry this bear. And everyone's kind of like, what do we do if the king marries a bear? Is that allowed? Like, is it against the... How do you depose a king? He's still a really good king, but like, a bear? The bear is brought in, still wearing, it's been washed, but wearing her little scarf collar, being walked by two of the king's men. And she walks directly up to the altar. I assume she's wearing a little bear flower crown.
And a tiny little dress.
Yeah, and a little tutu.
She's wearing a tutu. And she has just a little bit of blush on each of her little bear cheeks.
She's got bear lipstick on.
Yeah, which is just berries. She ate a bunch of berries before this.
She comes up and like kneels down on the ground in front of the king. He takes his royal scepter and he very gently touches it to her head and he says, reveal yourself. And in a moment...
She's like, that's not up to you. I'm under time constraints, bitch.
He does this at exactly midnight, though.
Okay.
It was all according to plan. They staged the hell out of this.
Sure.
He says, reveal yourself. And in a moment, magic happens. It's not described. But she steps out of the bearskin and reveals herself to be a beautiful princess. She is wearing like a glimmering gown and a beautiful tiara. She's the most beautiful person anyone has ever seen. And everyone gasps and they're like, oh my God, it wasn't a bear. Thank God it wasn't a bear. Woo! That was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
We thought he was gonna fuck a bear. Woo!
They all swoon.
Yeah. The king throws himself at her feet, and in a moment, the fairy Medlar appears, and she's like, and I dressed her. Isn't it great? Isn't this outfit great?
Give me attention now.
Yeah. Isn't it great? And everyone's like, yeah, it's really good. She's like, yeah, that was me. Dressed by the fairy Medlar.
My card.
The story makes a point to be like, and she's wearing Medlar.
Styled by Medlar.
The two of them are married and they live happily together. They have 2 young princes, and life is very good. Meanwhile,
Coriandra.
yeah, the King Rhino is still looking for his bride. He torments Corianda every day because he's like, I know that you know where she is. And she's like, I don't know where she is. Do you know where she is? And he's like, no. He hears through his various kingly channels that there's been a wedding, and he is furious because it sounds a lot like his wife just left him to go get married to another guy.
Yeah.
He finds out and he almost kills Corianda in his fury, but then he decides that a quick death is too good. So he just beats the shit out of her.
Oh my God.
And then ties her to a windmill on one of the like spokes on a windmill and is like, and you'll wait there until I get my revenge.
Okay.
However, the fairy Medlar is watching, and so she protects Corianda.
But she didn't protect her from getting beaten.
Well, so he thinks that he's beating her, but actually he's just beating a sack of oats.
Oh.
And then he straps the sack of oats to the windmill.
Okay.
Corianda is fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Also, though, mean to be like, and she looks like a sack of oats. Rude. I just feel like
It could be worse.
it could. I mean, it could definitely be worse, but
Yeah.
like, it seems mean. Seems like the fairy Medlar is like, and you're ugly.
Oh, you're boring.
King Rhino takes his 7-league boots to the kingdom of Felicity.
Okay.
This is something that is, I think we've mentioned in stories before.
We have. Yeah, a couple times.
But it's also something, eventually, one of our book club books that I would like to do is The Two Princesses of Bamar, and they have 7-league boots.
Yeah.
And I think it's very cool. But they're basically just boots that let you travel very far. So he has a set of 7-league boots. He travels all the way to the kingdom of Felicity, where marriage has recently happened. He gets to Felicity, and Rhino disguises himself as a peddler of gold distaffs, which are just like fancy, like scepters.
Yeah.
Staves. He hangs out near the palace and he hawks his distaffs, and all of the maids and servants are like, wow, those are beautiful golden distaffs, and they want to get some for the king and queen. They're like, how much for those beautiful gold distaffs? And he's like, oh, I'm not interested in money. I'm interested in experiences. And they're like, ooh. Oh, no.
Oh, ominous.
This part of the story is upsetting.
Yeah, what's he going to do to them?
He tells them that he will give each of them 6 distaffs if they let him sleep in the room of the 2 young princes.
Ew.
And they're like, good deal.
The fuck?
Yep.
Oh no, Max. Oh no.
Yeah. So they secretly let him into the palace and into the 2 princes' room. The story doesn't establish that the princes are also in there, so I'm going to choose to believe that the princes are sleeping.
They're at a sleepover.
Or no, that they're sleeping in their mom and dad's bedroom.
Okay.
The story doesn't specifically say that that's not the case, so I'm going to say that it is.
Okay.
Just because it's too upsetting to think about the alternative.
Yeah, that the servants were like, sure, go in there with these kids.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to choose to believe that they're like, yeah, you can go in there because the princes don't sleep in there anyways. They sleep with their parents.
Yeah, sure.
I hope.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. So he goes to bed in the prince's bedroom. In the middle of the night, he creeps out of the bedroom and to the queen's room, which is next door,
Yeah.
as he knew it would be. He goes to where her belt is hanging and he takes the dagger that she always carries with her out of the belt.
Okay.
And then he goes to the 2 princes and he slashes their throats and kills them.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah, he could have done that if he was in their room. He could have done that if he was in their room.
Yeah.
He didn't bring his own belt? His own?
Well, and then he puts the dagger back in the belt.
He's framing her.
He's framing her.
Got it.
We've heard a couple of stories that do this kind of trope before.
Yeah.
So he slashes the throats of the 2 princes and then goes and leaves in the middle of the night. In the morning, the servants go to like let him out of the prince's room and he's not there. And they're like, oh, I guess he already left.
Okay, so but the servants all know that he was in there. So like
Yeah, but then he left.
I know. So but like
yeah.
I don't know, it's going to be an easy crime to solve.
Maybe. And then they find the prince's bodies. And everyone is horrified. They immediately wake the queen and they're like, something horrible has happened. Somebody has murdered the princess. And she's like, who could have done this? And everyone's like, who knows who could have done it? Because certainly nobody would have let a stranger into the palace at night. Oops. Whoopsies. We didn't think this through.
Yeah.
So they don't want to cop to the fact that they let someone in who could have killed these kids.
Who
So they're all
definitely
like,
killed those kids.
yeah. So they're like, we don't know how this could have happened. Oh no. The kingdom is thrown into mourning over the death of the two princes, and nobody can figure out who's done this except for all of the maids and servants who are like, definitely that guy, but they don't say anything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, King Rhino moves to a different part of the city around the palace and disguises himself as an astrologer, and then he waits. And eventually what he's waiting for happens. The king, distressed at his inability to find the killer of his sons, starts turning to alternative means and eventually finds his way to the astrologer. And the astrologer, King Rhino, is like, the murderer is in your house still, even now. You need to go to every single woman in the castle and have them draw their blades. It's cool as shit that they all have blades.
Yeah.
Have them draw their blades, and then you will find the bloody blade is the culprit.
Yeah.
Right? The king is like, that makes sense because they were murdered with a blade.
Sure.
He goes to the palace and he calls all of the women of the palace together and he checks all of them and he doesn't find anything. And he goes back to the astrologer. He's like, you're a fucking hack. Like, I didn't find shit. And the astrologer is like, did you check everyone? He's like, yeah, I checked all of the maids, like all of the noble women, everyone. He's like, did you check like your wife and your mom? And he's like, no, I'm not going to check. Why would my wife or mom kill my kids? Mm-hmm. And the astrologer is like, I don't know, but clearly you didn't do a good enough job checking.
I said everyone.
I said everyone. So the king goes back and Queen Hawthorne is waiting for him. And she's like, what did he say? Like, is it anything? And he's like, can you show me your knife? And she's like, yeah. And she takes it out and it's covered in blood. Mm-hmm. Immediately he's like, why would you do this? Like, why would you kill our sons?
She's
like we were so happy
question.
And everything. And she's like, I don't know what's happening. And he's like, I should have known better. Like, you're a monster. Whatever, blah, blah.
That's what you get for marrying a bear.
That's what you get for marrying a bear. And she is so shocked and horrified by this accusation that she once again faints.
Yeah.
Which also seems a little suspicious.
Yeah.
The king has her taken to a high tower and locked away. There is a trial with what evidence they have, namely the bloody knife and the fact that she was in the room with the kids and that nobody else was in the room with the kids because that would be crazy.
Yeah.
And she is sentenced to be executed by being burned at the stake.
Huh.
Yes. They prepare the pyre and the queen is walked out to it. The king sees her and regrets what he's done. He's like, I shouldn't have been so quick to like be ready to execute her. Like, I just don't think that she would do this and everything. And he tries to stop it, but he's lost his voice.
What?
I don't know. It's just like he can't speak loud enough to stop it.
Okay.
So she goes to the pyre and the pyre is lit. And then a huge cloud blows in from the east and it stops directly above the pyre and opens up a huge rain over the pyre that immediately drenches the flames and stops them. It's not regular rain. It's orange flower rain. It's cool rain. It's orange flower water that
okay, fun.
Yeah, which is cute. That pours all over the pyre and puts the fire out. Then the cloud opens, I imagine like an elevator door, to reveal inside the fairy meddler.
Yeah.
Also Hawthorne's mother and father.
Oh.
Here visiting. Remember from earlier?
Sure.
She has parents.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like they're coming in from heaven.
Yeah. And also Corianda, who is holding on little baby leashes the two little princes.
Are they actually on baby leashes?
It says in their child harness.
The child harness! Unless, okay, here's what I like to think. Hold on. No. Here's what I like to think. It's like it's the baby carriers, one in the front and one in the back, and she's holding both of them in her baby carriers.
Bjorn. Let me make sure that I'm not making this up. Yeah, okay. And the faithful Corianda, holding them in their infant harnesses.
Yeah, so it sounds like she has one on each side of her. That's fun.
I like baby leashes better. So they're actually fine.
Good.
And
Okay, but this does make it seem now even more so that they're all dead.
mm-hmm.
They're coming into
Not
heaven.
anymore.
Yeah.
The fairy meddler goes to the king and is like, yo, you were way too quick to be ready to execute your wife for that.
No trial?
No trial. You didn't even let her defend herself or anything like that. And she's like, I get it. Like, someone killed your boys and you wanted to figure it out. But listen, there's no need to be sentimental, right? Because, yes, someone killed your sons. You know who can give you more sons? Your wife. So maybe don't kill her.
I don't know that that's the lesson.
That's not the lesson. It's absolutely not the lesson. And someone needs to have a conversation with the fairy meddler. And she's like, what are you doing murdering your baby machine? It's like, no. That's not why we don't do that.
Yeah.
My notes, bro, don't kill your wife just because you thought she killed your sons. She can make you more sons.
That's so weird.
And then the fairy meddler explains, she calls out King Rhino where he's in disguise in the crowd, and she explains everything that's happened, and she's like, he did it.
This Deus
the
Ex
murder.
Machina that just comes down and is like, just kidding, no conflict.
Yes, exactly. The mob immediately gathers up King Rhino and throws him on the pyre and relights it. And the little family lives happily ever after.
Oh.
The end.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I liked everything up until she came down and just like explained everything away.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. But...
I think it could have ended with, it would be an unremarkable story, but it could have ended with them getting married.
It could have. I mean, I'm happy to know what happened to Corianda, but I also, that could have been worked into her not staying with King Rhino.
Yeah.
She could have gone with her, or she could have been taken away by the fairy meddler like way before and sent back home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or she could have slain him and become the new king of the ogres.
True. That would be good.
Which would happen in my retelling.
It would be good if she did.
We didn't need that ending.
Yeah. So that is the end of that story. I really liked this story because I liked the theme of like the woman transforming into a bear. I feel like maybe it's just me recently, but I've
had some
been
bear princes.
Yeah, we've had bear princes, and we've also had a lot of like shapeshifter princesses.
Yeah.
But I've never seen one that's a bear. But apparently that's a pretty common theme. I did some research. There are a couple of other fairy tales that use this trope of the woman as bear.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting about the ones that I found are it's always a woman turns into a bear so that she is too horrifying to marry a horrible man.
Yeah.
That is always the case. There's a story called The She-Bear. I've linked 2 relevant stories, their Wikipedia pages, in the show notes for this episode. There's one called The She-Bear. It's this very upsetting story. Content warning. A king and queen have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The queen gets sick. On her deathbed, she makes the king promise not to marry anyone who is not as beautiful as her.
Oh, we've told this story, or we've heard this story before.
Maybe.
Yeah, sorry, keep going. But
oh no, it's
we've definitely had this story before.
It's a Snow White variation, I think. It's the one that they did in Angela Carter.
It might have been in Angela Carter.
No, what is it? Snow.
Not the
White?
Snow Child. Not the Snow Child.
Is it not?
No, it's not the Snow Child. That's the horrifying one. But no, there is. We've definitely talked about this something. Keep going.
Yeah. He calls all of the women of the land together, and he realizes that the most beautiful of all of them is his daughter. So he's like, I have to marry you.
Yeah.
A fairy gives her a chip of wood to hold in her mouth, and it turns her into a bear. And then she runs off as a bear. And then like a prince falls in love with her and kisses her, and the wood falls out of her mouth, and she turns into a girl again.
Yeah, you can't French kiss with wood in your mouth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or can you? The other story is called The Bear, featuring Jeremy Allen White. It's about a sandwich shop in Chicago.
Yeah.
In The Bear, it's kind of like a Sleeping Beauty scenario where like a king and queen have only one child. They lock her away in a tower so that she can't be hurt or taken away from them. But one of her nurses is a witch and helps her escape, again, by like sewing her up in a bearskin.
Yeah.
And that one ends up being more of a Cinderella story where she like goes and finds a prince, and then she like dresses up 3 nights with 3 different gowns, and he falls in love with her, but then she turns back into a bear.
Yeah. Sure.
Kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's like a Cinderella kind of bear story.
The Cinderella bear story. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's really interesting. I would love to go through like the tropes of women who are shapeshifters and kind of draw a line under which animals are associated with which types of stories, which I know is kind of done in the ATU, but I think it's interesting that like the animal that they turn into, or the kind of story that they're in and the animal that they turn into are related.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that the animal that they're changed into is the animal that these specific kings hunt.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Like, that's a little strange, right? Like, it seems like counterintuitive of like, because in a sense, women are also the type of, they're being hunted, you know, especially in these scenarios where they're like, I have to get out of this horrible situation. And what they turn into is something that is easily caught by hunters.
Yeah. And also, though,
that
all of these
ferocious,
stories,
but is still at the whim of like men.
Yeah, men and their violence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought that this was a cool one.
Yeah. I thought that was fun.
Fucking weird that the main characters in this are Rhinoceros, Hawthorne, Corianda, and fucking Zelindor.
Yeah. Yeah, the names are insane.
What a weird collection of names.
That really did read as written by a woman.
Yes.
Like I said, more so than any of the other tales that you've ever told.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting. Also, Meta Mara also had a lot of writings that I think we can interpret as feminist writings, where she talked specifically about, like, you can't trust men. Mm-hmm. Women need to have female friends. And that's like a whole big thing that she talked about a lot.
Yeah, and I love that because it also, even at the end of this one, like it is interesting and probably very important that it doesn't end with their wedding, because this ends with her being betrayed by her husband and a fairy coming in and saying, hey, why were you so easy to turn against your wife? Yeah. Like, that was a message at the end.
For sure.
You know, of like, they didn't have a happy ever after. She didn't even get to defend herself, and he was just going to put her to death.
Yeah.
And a woman had to come down and save her.
Can't trust men.
Men ain't shit.
Men ain't shit.
The tale. All right. Yeah. Well, good job, Max.
Thank you.
You're so hungry. Do you want to take a little break?
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll be right back. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay. We took a little bit of a break. I had to get ready to go on my tour tonight.
Mm-hmm. I had to eat spaghetti.
And Max had to eat spaghetti. So I look amazing right now.
I'm still in my pajamas.
Yeah, but you look like you fed.
Yes, I have fed.
She fed. I have a story for you today from Classic Ghost Stories, edited by John Crafton. I found this in my parents' house.
Ooh.
It's one of those teeny tiny little books with no pictures that
we love.
Yeah, we love. The story I'm bringing to you today is by M.R. James, who...
Mr. James.
M.R. James, do you remember hearing that name?
No.
So I told a story from him on bonus episode 19, The Wailing Well. Remember the one that he wrote for the Boy Scouts about it's like a Boy Scout campfire ghost story, and it's so scary.
Yes.
It's like a perfect, immaculate vibes. I'll talk a little bit about him at the end, since I only talked about him on a bonus episode, but that's my plug for the bonus episodes, because bonus episode 19 is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So the story I'm going to tell you today is called Oh, Whistle, and I'll Come to You, My Lad.
Oh. Mm-hmm. We had to play this game. It was like a getting to know you game on the first day of middle school. Mm-hmm. Like an icebreaker. And you had to go to someone in the class. Everyone stood in a big circle. And one person started. And you had to go to someone in the class and be like, honey, if you love me, won't you give me a smile? And then they had to either like say, honey, I love you, but I just can't smile without smiling. Or if they smiled, then you would switch places, which was very evil to do to middle schoolers. Very evil.
Yeah.
Don't make me call the boy I have a crush on honey and tell him that I love him.
We did the same thing, but I believe we had water in our mouths or something like that. So it was like the idea of like you had to smile without like spitting out your water. It was very fun.
Oh, that's more like a fuzzy bunny kind of scenario.
Exactly. Chubby bunny is what we used to call it. Yeah, very fun. Anyway, so this is called Oh, Whistle, and I'll Come to You, My Lad by M.R. James. I love the way M.R. James writes. I think he's relatable as hell, but this is how it starts. This is the first couple lines. Quote, I suppose you will be getting away pretty soon, now full term is over, Professor, said a person, not in the story, to the professor of ontography soon after they had sat down next to each other at a feast in the hospital hall of St. James College. I just really love that he's like, opens with a quote. This person's not in the story. They're not going to get a name.
Unrelated.
They are opening the story, sure, but they're not part of the story. Yeah, don't worry about it. I forgot to look up what ontography is. So, anyway, That's a homework for you guys. Professor Parkins, who is described as young, neat, and precise in speech, answered that he was going to Burnstow on the East Coast, there in England, because his friends had made him start golfing, and now he needed to spend about 10 days working on his game because he was bad at golfing. And already, this is a horror story.
Yeah.
I hate golfing.
God.
Sorry, trigger warning, golfing.
Trigger warning, golf.
Yeah, truly.
I fucking hate golf.
I fucking hate golf. It's not interesting if you play golf.
No.
Anyway, he was leaving tomorrow. The friend who is not in this story, and so does not need a description, suggested he stop at some ruins that were at Burnstow and let him know if they were worth exploring. And the conversation didn't really go anywhere after that, so Parkins all but dismissed him, and so does the narrator.
Great.
Another person who was with them asked where he was staying, and he's like, oh, I'm going to the Globe Inn. It's at the north end of the town. But this was not his first choice of inns, Max. Most other places were apparently closed for winter, which was annoying, so this was his only option. But luckily it was like right on some like golf links. So he's like, I mean, yes, but it's not like the best hotel I could have gotten. And Max, the only room they had left had 2 beds in it, which was a bit annoying to him because 2 beds meant that he wasn't going to be able to do the enemies to lover 1 bed trope on his eat, pray, love trip to Burnstow.
It's the opposite of the only 1 bed where it's like, oh, there's only 1 person, 2 beds. You have to choose.
Too many beds! Anyway, he wasn't going to be able to do that, and that was disappointing to him and us.
One time I stayed in a hotel room that had 2 beds and it was just me, and I was there for like a week. Mm-hmm. And anytime I woke up and I was uncomfortable, I would just switch to the other bed.
That's pretty good.
And it was like nice and cold and everything. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a life hack. Put 2 beds in your room.
Yeah.
As he was explaining that it was fine because he was going to be studying half the time anyway, so he didn't mind roughing it. Another person in his group, whose name was Mr. Rogers, no relation,
What?
interrupted him. And he said, do you call having an extra bed in your room roughing it, Parkins? He said, look here.
Get his ass, Rogers.
I shall come down and occupy it for a bit. It'll be company for you. And Parkins, yeah, the look that Max is giving me right now, Parkins kind of froze for a second and then laughed politely and made a joke about how he's like, oh, it'll be super boring for you. I'm just going to be golfing and studying, and you don't golf, and I assume you can't fucking read.
And then they kiss?
Don't worry about it. And then they kissed. No, they're enemies.
For now.
Mr. Rogers said, I mean, I have friends down there, so I'll be able to keep myself occupied. It'll be fun.
No, you can't just invite yourself on someone's vacation.
At this point, Parkins realized the true horror of the story. Having someone invite themselves on your vacation and then not get the hint that you really don't want them there.
God.
Yeah, this is why I told the story, because the whole time I was like, oh no, this is so awkward.
Horrifying.
Mr. Rogers, who is the opposite of our Mr. Rogers, who's lovely. He's basically the person equivalent of driving on the wrong side of the road, because he's in England.
Oh.
Yeah, he said, unless you don't want me there. And if that's the case, all you have to do is say that in front of all of our friends.
So he knows.
So Rogers knew that Parkins was extremely polite and really uptight, but also like really valued telling the truth. And so he was just like in this weird pickle. And Rogers was just sitting there watching like, go ahead. Tell them that you fucking hate my guts and you don't want me to share your hotel room. Parkins is like, how do I tell him that I fucking hate his guts, but I don't want him to share my hotel room? But be polite. So after a little bit of a pause, Parkins explained quite politely that he was a bit worried the room wouldn't be big enough for both of them. And also that it might be a hindrance to his work and study to have a friend there, because all he'd want to do is like talk and chat. And like, that's why I wouldn't be able to study. Because you're so cool. And Rogers laughed and said, it's all right. I promise not to interrupt your work. Don't you disturb yourself about that. But I won't come if you don't want me. But I thought I should do so nicely to keep the ghosts off. He laughed as Parkins turned a little bit pink. And he said, I know you don't like it when people joke about ghosts. And Parkins was like, okay, I really don't like that. Because, and then he raised his voice a little so the whole hall could hear him say, a person in my position does not believe in ghosts. So let everyone know that. Ontography is the opposite of ghost, I assume. Max is, no, don't look at it. It's fine.
No, but I'm going to.
They'll look, okay, fine.
Oh my god. This is too many words.
Okay.
The study of the relationship between living beings and their physical environment.
Yeah, the opposite of ghost.
guess.
not living being, and their ethereal environment.
Then he gave a little lecture to the table about not giving any concession to, quote, the view that such things might exist in equivalent to a renunciation of all that I hold most sacred. And Mr. Rogers said, oh yeah, absolutely. We could talk all about that on our boys' trip to Burnstow. Woo! Burnstow! 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 Boys' trip! Kiss a little!
And at this point, Mr. Parkins is like, this fucking sucks. I hate this guy.
The narrator at this point explains that he was hoping with this to illustrate the fact that Professor Parkins was kind of an old curmudgeon, even though he was quite young still. He was born old.
Same,
yeah. And he had no sense of humor. Quote, whether or not the reader has gathered so much, that was the character which Parkins had.
Sure.
It's like, I don't care if you don't believe it, that's the truth. Parkins fucking sucks.
And even though the story has so far set up the enemies to lovers in one bed scenario just ripe for picking, Professor Parkins managed to sneak out of his neighborhood and arrive in Burnstow on his own, undetected by the meddling Mr. Rogers. He checked into his large double-bedded room that we heard so much about, and he ate apple pie while arranging his materials on a table surrounded by windows on 3 sides that looked out onto the sea in 2 of the windows and the town of Burnstow in the other. Just a beautiful room. Also, I think there's a couple rooms inside of the suite that he has. He has, like, the bed area, and there's another room, so, like, you can't see into all of them. You have to go through a couple doors.
Yeah. Sure, that won't come up.
It probably won't come up. The other guests, I don't even know why I'm bringing it up now. The other guests at the inn were mostly golfers, so Parkins was pretty happy all in all. And he spent the greater part of his day improving his game with a man named Colonel Wilson, who was getting more and more red and frustrated, which I'm assuming means he's bad at golf.
Yeah. Even worse than
Parkins.
Yeah,
or just like more vocal about it. So he wanted to kind of avoid getting caught walking home with this like very enraged man. So Parkins was like, you go ahead without me. I'm going to walk along the beach, because he remembered that friend who's not part of the story said that there were some ruins that he needed to check out. And he didn't know exactly where the ruins were, but he was like, listen, if I just walk northward, I'll probably stumble upon them, because I think I heard that they were like in the north somewhere.
Sure.
And that's exactly what happened. He walked and walked along the beach, and a lot of the beach was like shale and stuff. And eventually his foot caught on a rock and he like tumbled over it. And when he stood up again, he found himself in a patch of broken ground, covered with depressions and mounds of flint. These ruins were built by the Templars, and he concluded at this point that this must have been one of their round churches that they used to build.
Oh. I've heard a lot about those on The Unexplained with William Shatner.
And oh my god, William Shatner's in this story.
Is he actually?
No. Wait, why would he be? M.R.
The Unexplained, Janey.
M.R. James was born in the 1800s.
Oh, I didn't know that. Had I known.
Well, that would have been unexplained, honestly.
And also William Shatner was there.
He wrote down his findings in a little book to bring back to his friend who had asked about this. And then he walked around to the east end of the circle to try to find the altar. He's like, okay, it's got to be here, probably somewhere. On the north end, a patch of the turf was gone, quote, removed by some boy or other creature, fere nature.
Fere nature.
It said basically either a boy or some other fairy. Cute.
Love that.
He used a knife to scrape off some dirt, which I'm assuming this is on the wall. The way they described it isn't really that clear. So I'm imagining there's some dirt on a wall, and he's like, I need to see the masonry. And as the dirt fell away, he realized it had been covering up a hole in the wall. And he continued to scrape away at it until he had uncovered a rectangular hole in the masonry. It was really dark, like in the actual structure that he was in. And he had only matches to light his way. And he was exploring the inside with his scraping knife, thinking the hole was empty, when suddenly he heard a metallic clink. Putting his hand in, he found a cylindrical object lying on the floor of the hole. He brought it out and he held it up in the very dim light, and he realized he was holding a 4-inch tube, which was obviously very, very old. And he checked the hole for anything else. It was lipstick that said Kissin' Kate on it. Holes. He checked the hole for anything else, and by the time he was done making sure it was empty, it was too late and too dark for any more exploration. He decided to come back the next day to explore some more, and he put the object in his pocket and he set out for the inn again. He was walking back along the beach. A faint yellow light in the distance showed the links, where a few figures were moving toward the clubhouse. The wind was bitter, but it was mostly in the north at his back, and after stepping over some of the shale, he found that it was pretty easy to walk along the beach again. He kind of got off the rocky part of it. And so then, as he's walking, he took one last look behind him to see how far from the ruined Templars church he had made it. And he realized he had company on this walk. quote, in the shape of a rather indistinct personage who seemed to be making great efforts to catch up with him, but made little, if any, progress. What this means is that this person looked like they were running at full speed, but as Mr. Parkins watched, they never got any closer. So,
sorry, I have a gripe. When I was in 3rd grade, I wrote a story very heavily inspired by Nancy Drew about like being in a haunted forest, kind of, and trying to solve a crime. And I was like, a dark personage in a boat came around the corner, like around the river bend.
Yeah.
And my teacher was like, that's not a word. I was like, no, it is, though.
Yeah, especially probably.
And she was like, you mean a person? And I was like, no, I mean a personage. I mean the shape of a person. It's a word. It's a real word.
Yeah.
She was like,
I can see them using that a lot in Nancy Drew.
mm-hmm.
I tore through those books in my library.
Yes.
I read every Nancy Drew book we had. And I don't remember a single one of them now. And I did try to read them as an adult, and they're bad.
Oh.
Yeah, they're badly written. Not even just for kids. They're just kind of badly written.
I was so excited. I don't know if you saw my eyes light up when he found a little tube inside of a secret hole in a church. That's very Nancy Drew. I was like, oh, that's scratching
pretty
an itch
Nancy
for me.
Drew.
Yeah.
But now he sees this person running at full speed, except not getting any closer to him.
Terrifying.
Yeah, pretty scary. Deciding he didn't know this person, he didn't feel the need to wait for him to catch up. So Parkins continued home, remembering a line from John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress. And the line is, quote, now I saw in my dream that Christian had gone but a very little way when he saw a foul fiend coming over the field to meet him. And that line kind of played in his head. He's like, that's kind of the same. And at this point, Parkins started wondering what he would do if he turned around and saw the figure had horns and wings. He wondered if he'd run away or take a stand, like in the story. So, in the scene that he's referencing in The Pilgrim's Progress, Christian is the main character, and he's being chased by Apollyon in the Valley of Humiliation. It's like almost like a Paradise Lost, Dante's Inferno sort of story. Mm-hmm. And he decided, as he's being chased by this demon, to stand his ground instead of running because he knew he'd be more vulnerable to Apollyon's darts if he turned his back to him. So he was like, fuck it. And he turned around. He just kind of like let this demon get to him. And so this is what he's kind of thinking. He's like recalling these like lines and stuff in the story and thinking, that's kind of what this guy running reminds me of. But he's not scared. He doesn't think anything of this, really. Parkins thought, quote, luckily, the gentleman behind is not of that kind, and he seems to be about as far off now as when I first saw him. So he turned around, and he's the exact same distance as he was when he turned around before. Not in the same spot, just the same distance away. I think that's terrifying.
I don't like that at all.
Parkins made it all the way inside without much further thought about this, and he got dressed for dinner.
Without...
Parkins doesn't see anything wrong with this. Parkins is extremely practical. When he said he doesn't believe in ghosts, he means he doesn't believe in anything supernatural, and he doesn't have any, like, qualms or fears about this, which I'm like, must be fucking nice.
Also, though, I mean, even if you... Honestly, even more so, if you don't believe in anything supernatural, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he doesn't think that's weird.
That's just being stupid. Like, that. What if that's a person who is stalking you through the night? Like, that's a very fair reason to be concerned.
Well, he makes it inside. Well, he's also a man. He's not used to being stalked in the night.
Oh, well.
So he gets dressed for dinner. And at dinner, he sees the Colonel, who looks much more calm now. And they played bridge for a couple of hours after dinner and, like, had a nice day. At about midnight, he made his way back to his room, feeling pretty good about the day. He's like, honestly, not bad. And as he was walking through the hall, one of the people who worked at the Globe approached him and was like, hey, I was brushing out your coat and something fell out of your pocket. He said, quote, a piece of pipe or something of that, sir. And they were like, I placed it on the chest of drawer in your room because it fell out and I didn't want you to think that it had gotten lost. Mm-hmm. Parkins had forgotten about this discovery in the ruins.
You idiot.
And he immediately went back to his room. He's like, oh, yeah. And he went back and he examined it by candlelight. Okay, the fact that he forgot that he found something in the ruins does make me think that he was a little more taken aback by the person who was running. Because, like, that was probably more interesting at the time. Anyway, kind of weird. He started to use candlelight to kind of observe it, and he realized it was bronze, and it was shaped a little bit like a dog whistle. And in fact, he discovered it was exactly a whistle, and he put his lips to it, but it was so packed with sand and earth, he was like, oh, I can't actually blow through this whistle.
Yeah.
So he started to dig it out with his knife to clear it out. Parkins cleared the dirt out onto a piece of paper and then opened his window to shake the dirt out. The night was clear and bright, but as he looked out toward the beach, he saw a person stationed on the shore in front of the inn.
How far away?
Like, kind of close. He was surprised someone would be out this late at night, but he was like, people at Burnstow must keep late hours. No partiers here at Burnstow. He brought the whistle to the light again and saw that there were some marks on it. Not just marks, but letters. He rubbed it clean and he got a better look, but realized he couldn't really make sense of them. There were legends on both the front and back of the whistle, sort of in a circle. The top of the front part read FLA, and then under that, FUR, and then BIS, and then under that, FLE. I'll put a picture of this in the Instagram, but I am going to show Max.
Yes, please.
But I literally am just going to show you. So I'm not even going to let you hold it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You can read this when you're done. I see you wanting so badly.
I want to solve the riddle.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. So
And that's all on one
anything.
side?
That's on one side. And then on the other side had the right-facing swastika, which is the Hindu symbol for good luck, which the Nazis stole and bastardized.
Yes.
Anyway. And then it had Quis est isti qui venit.
Wean it.
Ueneit. I assume it's Weenit.
It, maybe?
I don't know. And then there's another Hindu swastika on the other side. His Latin was a little rusty, but he tried to decipher it anyway. And he was like, well, the sentence is kind of easy because it's strung together, so you can get some of it out of context as well. The long sentence said, who is this who is coming? Parkin said in response, well, the best way to find out is evidently to whistle for him. I just wrote, no!
Stop it! Stop it now!
He blew into the whistle, and he was startled at how clear it sounded. Quote, it had the quality of infinite distance in it, and soft as it was, he somehow felt it must be audible for miles around. The sound also seemed to have the power that many scents tend to have, the power to form pictures in your brain. So like when you smell something and you're just like kind of transported back to a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a moment, he saw a vision of a dark night with wind blowing and a lonely figure standing in the midst. He couldn't see any details about the figure. The vision was interrupted by a sharp gust of wind that blew against his window, startling him and making him look up. He saw the white glint of a seagull's wings somewhere outside in the night, kind of flying away. I thought that was weird. Seagulls don't fly at night.
Do they not?
No, I don't think so. Birds don't fly at night.
Except the nocturnal ones.
Yeah, and seagulls aren't nocturnal. Remember, during the daytime, they're stealing your hot dogs?
You remember.
Remember? It's not a universal experience. So he kind of looks up and he's like, well, that was so weird. Like, I saw that so clearly. So he decided to blow the whistle again, this time louder. Even though he blew harder, the sound wasn't much louder than before. And to his disappointment, he didn't see the vision again.
Imagine you're staying in this hotel with this fucking guy who keeps blowing a whistle in the middle of the night.
Well, it's like a dog whistle. Like, it's not making a loud sound.
Is it not?
No.
It sounds like it is.
No, he said, so I'll go back. Soft as it was, he somehow felt it must be audible for miles around. And then this time he blows harder, and it's not any louder.
But it's as loud as a whistle.
No, it's like a dog whistle. You know how dog whistles aren't super loud. They just make like a pitch. Have you ever blown on a dog whistle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not like loud. They're a pitch. And a lot of them are like so high-pitched, whatever, that humans can't hear them at the full volume that you think you would. That's the sort of whistle this is.
Mm-hmm.
But suddenly, the wind started to blow so hard and loud, his window flew open with like a crash. Both his candles went out, and Parkin said, it's enough to tear the room to pieces. He ran to the window, and he struggled to close it, feeling like he was pushing against a burglar. That's how strong the window pressure, like the wind pressure, was against his hands. And then suddenly, all at once, the wind stopped, and the window banged closed and latched itself. His next step was to relight the candles and see if any damage had been done. When he did, he saw there was nothing amiss. There wasn't even any broken glass at the window, which he was like, that was so intense that I thought for sure the glass would have broken. But the noise had obviously woken someone up. Quote, the colonel was to be heard stumping in his stockinged feet on the floor above and growling. End quote. The wind continued to howl outside, making a cry so desolate that Parkins thought, quote, it might have made fanciful people quite uncomfortable.
Sure.
But of course, he wasn't a fanciful person. He was an ontographer.
He was an oncologist.
He was a gynecologist. No fancy for him, just vaginas. That night, he had a hard time going to sleep. Quote, awake he remained, in any case, long enough to fancy, as I am afraid I often do myself under such conditions. this is a line from the narrator, not from me. He has a lot of like asides and parentheses. And I'm like, if I write this down or say this, people are going to think this is Janey. This is the narrator. Anyway, awake he remained long enough to fancy, as I am afraid I often do myself under such conditions, that he was the victim of all manner of fatal disorders. He would lie counting the beats of his heart, convinced that it was going to stop work at every moment, and would entertain grave suspicions of his lungs, brain, liver, etc.
That sounds like something that you might do.
It's suspicious, but that wasn't me. That was the narrator. He found a little vicarious comfort. This is still a quote. He found a little vicarious comfort in the idea that someone else was in the same boat. A near neighbor, in the darkness it was not easy to tell his direction, was tossing and rustling in his bed too. End quote.
Probably because someone's fucking whistling.
Shut up! He closed his eyes, determined to fall asleep. But when you're falling asleep, sometimes pictures come to you behind your closed eyes. And so the story describes that in Parkin's case, the pictures were kind of disturbing. He kept his eyes closed because he's like, eventually I will fall asleep, so I am not opening my eyes. And he saw a long stretch of shore lined with shale, exactly like from his walk on that day. The light was dim, and there was a gathering storm, and it was a late winter's evening, and a slight cold rain was falling. And at first, Parkins was alone, but then in the distance, he saw a bobbing black object. A moment later, it turned into a man running, jumping, and clambering over the stones, looking back every few seconds. The closer he came, the more it was apparent he was terrified, but Parkins couldn't see his face. But it was clear he was running out of strength. He came closer and closer, clambering over the stones with more and more difficulty, and Parkins wondered if he would get over the next one, because it was higher than the others. Half climbing and half throwing himself over, the man did make it. He fell in a heap on the other side, and then was unable to get up again, so he kind of like crouched behind it, looking up with an expression of terror and anxiety. So far, nothing had appeared to show why this man was so afraid, so Parkins is watching like, what is he running from? But suddenly, a little flicker of something light-colored appeared, moving to and fro with great swiftness and irregularity. It was growing rapidly larger, and soon Parkins could see it was a figure wearing pale, fluttering robes. But it was not clear yet. Quote, there was something about this motion which made Parkins very unwilling to see it at close quarters. It would stop, raise arms, bow itself toward the sand, then run stooping across the beach to the water edge and back again, and then, rising upright, once more continue its course forward at a speed that was startling and terrifying. So it was like doing these really weird motions and like running to one spot, running back, and then running forward really fast, and then like repeating this like really weird thing. Also, it was like running stooped, like very weird, erratic.
Like a Naruto run.
I don't know what that is.
It's when you run like that. It makes you go faster.
My students run like that.
It's from Naruto.
Yeah, to be funny. I like that. And soon, it was only a few yards away from the stone where the runner was hiding. Quote, after 2 or 3 ineffectual castings hither and thither, it came to a stop, stood upright with arms raised high, and then darted forward toward the stone. Like making itself tall.
I don't like that at all.
At this point, yeah, Parkins didn't either. At this point, he forced his eyes open and he's like, nope, not doing that. After clearing his mind, he would close them again, but the exact same scene would play again and again every time he closed his eyes. Finally, resolving himself to the fact that he would not sleep that night, he got up to light his candles, deciding to read instead of be tormented by nightmares. Which I'm like, the same every time, and you're not even a little bit suspicious. Must be nice.
I have a lot of recurring nightmares. It sucks.
Especially but this is the first time he's ever had this.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because as soon as you start thinking about the fact that you have recurring nightmares, or if you acknowledge in the nightmare that you have recurring nightmares, it fucks it up. It
makes it worse.
Yes. 1,000 times worse.
So he struck his match. And as he did, the sound seemed to startle something in his room. Rats, probably. He heard them scurry across the floor from the side of his bed. The match went out, and he was like, fuck it. So he lit another, and succeeded in lighting his candle. And the room was still, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. So he read until he fell asleep, and he had no bad dreams. The next morning, he got a call at 8, and the candle was still burning, a mess of wax and grease on the table. He had breakfast, and then he went back to his room to get dressed for golfing. And he found out that he would be with the colonel again at this point. A maid came in at that point, and she was like, do you want any extra blankets for your bed? And he said yes. And she brought them in and was like, which bed would you like them on? And he was like, the one that I'm sleeping on? And she was like, okay, well, both of the beds are messy, so we don't really know which one you're in. And he was like, wait, what do you mean they're messy? And she's like, well, I had to make both this morning because both of them were very messy. And he was perplexed in this. He's like, I only slept in one of them. And he was like, are you sure they'd both been slept in? And she's like, yes. And she said, quote, why, all the things was crumpled and throwed about always, if you'll excuse me, sir. Quite as if anyone hadn't passed, but a very poor night, sir. End quote. She's like, it looked like somebody had a nightmare in both beds. Mm-hmm. He was like, at this point, he was like, you know what? I'm probably just messier than I thought I was. Like, I probably unpacked on that bed and, like, messed everything up. And so he was like, I'm really sorry about that. Thanks for making the bed. And then he explained, he's like, well, it's not going to be unslept in for long. I have a friend from Cambridge who will be coming to stay in that bed for a night or two. And he's like, is that going to be all right? And she's like, oh, yes, to be sure, sir. Thank you, sir. It's not trouble, I'm sure, said the maid, and departed to giggle with her colleagues.
Huh.
I was like, she gets it. She's like, a friend from Cambridge is coming?
Oh my God.
Okay. Maybe there'll only be one bed when he comes. I just like that she left to go giggle with somebody else about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's weird. He's like, I didn't sleep in that bed, but I probably just messed it up. Kind of like when we were in Marshall House.
Yeah.
Where we weren't sure if we were being haunted or if we were messy.
We were like, either some strange force threw everything around the room or we're just kind of slobs.
We might be slobs. He went out to play golf with the Colonel, determined to improve his game. The Colonel today was chattier than usual. He said, quote, extraordinary wind that we had last night. In my old home, we should have said someone had been whistling for it. Mm-hmm. Parkins was like, is that a superstition in your part of the country? And the Colonel explained that he didn't know about superstition, but all over Denmark and Norway, as well as the Yorkshire coast, they believe it. Quote, my experience is, mind you, that there's generally something at the bottom of what these country folk hold to, and have held to for generations. But it's your drive. And then the narrator says, quote, or whatever it might have been. The golfing reader will have to imagine appropriate digressions at the proper intervals. Good quote. I wrote, again, not me, but relatable.
And then they did more golf and stuff.
He's like, I don't know. And then they birdied. Like, who knows? He's like, I refuse to look up golfing.
Good.
Oh, God, I love M.R. James. Parkins hesitated for a bit, and then he told the Colonel that he was a strong disbeliever in anything supernatural. And this made the Colonel gasp, clutch his pearls. He said, what? Do you mean to tell me you don't believe in second sight or ghosts or anything of that kind? And Parkins was like, no, I'm a respectable professor. I don't have any sort of thoughts about this. And the Colonel was like, it appears to me at that rate, sir, that you must be a little better than a Saduki.
A what?
I probably said that wrong.
Saduki.
I probably said that
You're
wrong.
some kind of sad dookie.
But that's more fun the way I said it. Sadducee. I looked it up. It's a member of an ancient Jewish group or sect that denied the resurrection of the dead, the existence of spirits, and the obligation of oral tradition, emphasizing acceptance in the written law alone. And I'm like, oh, that's exactly what he is. That's actually a really good way to describe him. Mm-hmm. Parkins was about Parkins is about to tell him that he thought the Sadducees were the most sensible people in the Old Testament. But instead, he just laughed and he was like, okay, yeah. And he said, quote, perhaps I am. Now as to the whistling of the wind, let me give you my theory about it. And he explained that no one really knows that much about the wind. He's like, we know like how wind is made, but like, you know, the laws of wind and stuff like that, like, I don't know. It's kind of like just its own thing. And the fisher folk didn't know anything about it. His hypothesis was that a person or like a stranger would maybe one night went out on the beach and they were whistling. And soon afterwards, a windstorm started up, as anyone who understood weather could have predicted, but the fisher people obviously weren't predicting weather. And then the fishermen who had heard that and then experienced the windstorm correlated the whistling to the coming of the storm. And then it started a tradition or it started a superstition. So very Max explanation of this.
Hey.
What are you, some sort of Saduki?
I'm a sad dookie.
You're a little sad dookie, aren't you? With this. So it's like causation, correlations, you know, that's how superstitions like this form.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you think that because like fisher people heard somebody whistling and then like wind came up.
Yeah. And then they were like, A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he admitted, sure, last night I blew a whistle twice. And yes, the wind seemed to have come in answer to my call. But since no one had heard this, and then the colonel interrupted with, whistling were you? What sort of whistle did you use? Parkins explained how he had found it, and the colonel grunted, saying, if I had found that, I think that perhaps I would have been careful about using a thing that had belonged to a set of papists. The colonel, it turns out, is a devout Protestant and fucking hates the Catholics.
Damn.
Said, quote, you never knew what they might not have been up to. Which is true. Who knows what those Catholics are up to?
Who knows what they're not up to?
I don't know what they're not up to because I'm no longer Catholic. This talk turned into more talk about religion and how the colonel was convinced that the vicar at the church here was a secret Catholic, and Parkins weirdly seemed to agree with him. So the two started to get along really well for the rest of the day, and they decided to eat lunch together. Then they played through the afternoon, and soon the sun began to go down. It wasn't until then that Parkins remembered that he had meant to do more investigating at the ruins, but since it was so late now, he was like, I guess I can do it tomorrow. As they walked back to the inn together, the colonel was suddenly almost knocked down by a boy, like a little boy, like a kid, who rushed into him at top speed. Instead of running away, he remained hanging on to him and panting and crying. And at first the colonel was like, hey, watch where you're going, but then he realized that the boy is absolutely terrified. So when they got him to catch his breath, he suddenly just started to howl and scream, and he was just clutching at the colonel's legs. And he was finally pulled off of the colonel, but continued to howl. The men asked him what was wrong, and the boy said, I seen it wave at me out the window, and I don't like it.
Oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. The colonel, who's kind of irritated now, was like, what window? What was waving? What are you talking about? Who are you? And the boy was like, in the front window of the hotel, it waved at me. At this point, Parkins was like, we need to send him home. But the colonel was like, no, I kind of want to get to the bottom of this. He's saying something crazy. And he also I don't want the boy to go home scared. And if it turned out someone was playing a prank on him, he needed all the details so they could punish him. Because he's like, you don't get to just scare a little kid like this. It's rude.
Yeah.
So they asked more questions, and they got this story. The boy had been playing in the grass in front of the globe with some others, but they had all gone home for tea. And just as he was going home, he looked up at the front window and saw it waving at him. It was a figure in white. He hadn't seen its face, but it had waved at him, and it wasn't right. It didn't look like a person. They got the description of which window it was, and then the colonel told him to run home, explaining that somebody had obviously been trying to frighten him. He said, quote, I love this guy. He said, quote, another time, like a brave English boy, you just throw a stone. Well, no, okay, not that exactly, but you go and speak to the waiter, or to Mr. Simpson, the landlord, and yes, and say that I advised you to do so. And here's a sixpence. No, that's a shilling. Okay, yeah, you be off. Don't think any more about it, end quote. I love he's like, yeah, just go ahead and go up there and throw a stone at the... Okay, hold on, not a stone. Talk to the manager. Yeah, talk to the manager. And here's a quarter. That's $1. I love that guy. The boy ran off, kind of happy now. He's like, oh, $1. I got a fucking $1. And the colonel and Parkins went around to the front of the inn. Parkins counted the windows, and then he said, that's odd. He was looking at my window. At this point, he asked the colonel to come up with him to see if anyone had broken into his room. When he made it to his door, he was like, it's probably open if somebody was in my room. But then he kind of stopped. The door was locked, and he was holding the key. And he was like, had the servants somehow gone into my room while I was away? And apparently that's not the norm here at this time. But he unlocked the door, and they walked in, Parkins lighting the candles. He looked around, and he was like, everything's in order. Nothing was touched. And from the other room, the colonel said, except your bed. And he walked in, and he saw the two beds, and he said, that isn't my bed. I don't use that one. But it did look messed up. The sheets were all bundled up and twisted together. Really messed up. He determined that he had messed up the bed when he was unpacking last night, which I'm like, you twisted all the sheets by laying out your clothes? Parkins. And the servants just hadn't fixed it yet like they said they had. He guessed that they had come in to fix it, and then the boy had seen them in the window, and then they were called away, or they heard him screaming or something like that, so they had locked the door on their way out. The colonel was like, okay, so let's call them. And he was like, yeah, that's logical. He called down, And the maid insisted that she had made the bed that morning when Parkins was there. And she's like, I even talked to you about it. Like,
Yeah.
I made both beds.
It's me from earlier.
And she was also like, remember me? The one who thinks it's funny about your gay lover coming? The one bed? No, you don't remember this? And she was also like, no one's been in the room since. And she's like, I don't even have the other key. Mr. Simpson, the owner, keeps the keys. So there's no way anybody could have gone in there. Puzzled, Parkins checked all his possessions, but determined again nothing had been taken or moved. And then the Simpsons called him to tell him that, like, no one had the key. We have them. And no one's had access to your room all day. And he could also tell that they were telling the truth. And so he was like, okay, well, this is kind of puzzling. They're like, yeah, that is puzzling.
He's on the ground floor?
I think that the first floor in this instance starts like there's a ground floor and
Zero
then,
floor.
Yeah.
1 floor.
I think that's how it is.
So second floor, but still low enough that someone could climb in through that window if it's not locked. I would check that also.
But it's also like broad daylight. People are out there, you know, like that seems unlikely. Especially if his window, like they could see his window from where they were. Anyway, at this point, he began to think the boy had been playing the Colonel. He was like, he got $1 out of this. A shilling, but still. The Colonel remained silent and pensive throughout dinner. And when he said goodnights to Parkins, he said, okay, well, you know where I am if you want me during the night.
Oh.
And Parkins was like, thanks, but I don't see why I would need you at night.
And I have a boyfriend.
And he's like, yeah. Oh, by the way, have I shown you the whistle yet? I forgot about it. And the guy was like, yeah, okay. So he went back to his room with him. So look at his whistle.
You know how to whistle, don't you?
Anybody want to blow it? The Colonel turned it over and over in his hands, inspecting it in the light of the candle. Parkins was like, hey, can you read that inscription? And he was like, no, especially not in this light. But then he was like, what do you intend to do with it? And Parkins was like, well, I'm going to bring it back to Cambridge probably. I'm going to let the archaeologists there examine it. And if they determine it's worth something, I might give it to a museum. And the Colonel was like, yeah, sure. If it was me, I think I'd throw it into the goddamn ocean as hard as I goddamn can. But that's just me. He said, quote, I expect that with you, it's a case of live and learn. I hope so, I'm sure. And I wish you a good night. And then he fucking left.
Real.
I like this guy. The professor's room had no blinds or curtains. He hadn't noticed it the night before because it was kind of dark and a little bit stormy, but tonight it was like a really bright room. So he's like, oh, fuck, that sucks. So he rigged up a makeshift curtain with a rug and some pins and a stick and an umbrella.
That seems like more things than you need.
Yeah, to block out the moonlight. I have no idea. And then he got into bed, blew out the candle, and he fell fast asleep. He slept for maybe an hour when there was suddenly a loud clatter in his room, and after like a disorienting moment, he realized his makeshift curtain had fallen down, and now the bright moon was like shining directly in his face. And annoyed, he started to weigh the pros and cons of getting up and trying to put it up again, or attempting to sleep with the moon shining in his face. And as he was lying there kind of pondering his options, he suddenly turned and lay really still because he had heard a noise coming from the other bed. And he decided after a minute, he was like, okay, there's probably rats under that bed. I heard the scurrying last night. I bet you anything there's rats in here. He's like calming his heart rate. And he's like, tomorrow I'm going to ask them to move that bed. So there's only one bed in the room for the rats.
Yeah. The rats can sleep somewhere else.
And the shuffling kind of stopped. And so he kind of started to relax a little bit. But then it started up again. But it was like a full rustling and shaking more and more until he was like, okay, rats literally could not make that much of a sound. And as he kind of like turned his head and he's looking at it in like this room illuminated by bright moonlight, he suddenly saw a figure sit up in the bed that he thought had been empty. He leapt out of his own bed. He grabbed the stick that had held up his makeshift curtain as a weapon. Quote, this was, as it turned out, the worst thing he could have done, because the personage in the empty bed, with a sudden smooth motion, slipped from the bed and took up a position with outspread arms between the two beds and in front of the door. Parkins realized with horror that he was trapped. He didn't want to go past this thing to the door. He didn't know why, but he was like, I do not want to touch that thing. And he really did not want it to touch him. He started to think, like, if this thing touches me, I think I'd actually jump out the goddamn window. Like, he's just terrified. Quote, it stood for the moment in a band of dark shadow, and he had not seen what its face was like. Now it began to move in a stooping posture, and all at once the spectator realized, with some horror and some relief, that it must be blind, for it seemed to be feeling about with its muffled arms in a groping and random fashion.
I fucking hate this.
It's fucking terrifying. The image of suddenly like just looking over and seeing crumpled bedclothes and stuff like that, and all of a sudden just seeing something sit up in your bed. Ugh. No.
Yeah.
What?
I was on a study abroad trip, and I kept getting roomed with this girl who kept leaving in the middle of the night to go make out with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
We were on the ground floor of a hotel in Scotland, and so she climbed out through the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I'll be asleep. And she was like, okay, great, I'll be back soon. And I was like, great, don't get me in trouble. And she went out through the window, and I fell asleep, apparently, which I didn't think I would be able to do. And then she came back in through the window, and apparently I was laying in the bed, and I sat bolt upright. And I was like, Morgan? And she was like, yeah, it's Morgan. And I was like, Morgan? And she was like, yeah, it's Morgan. And I was like, okay, good. I laid back down.
Like big mom energy.
Yeah.
Been waiting for you.
Yep. Just like sat bolt upright in bed, fully asleep. I have no memory of this. But my like sleep brain was like, check that it's Morgan.
Make sure.
Which is not how you should check that it's Morgan, by asking Morgan and then waiting for confirmation. It's like the thing where you get into an Uber, you're not supposed to like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's groping around in the dark for him, and he realizes he thinks it's blind. It darted back towards the bed Parkins had been in, and it started feeling the pillows in a way that made Parkins shudder, quote, as he had never in his life thought possible, end quote. So like his head had just been there, and it's like groping around for its head, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
After determining the bed was empty, it moved forward into the light, facing the window, and Parkins finally saw what sort of thing it was. Quote, Parkins, who very much dislikes being questioned about it, once described his face as being an intensely horrible face of crumpled linen. Just impossible and terrifying, and like not really like you can't really like make sense of what you're looking at. It stretched its arms out and felt around for him, and as it did, a corner of its robes swept across his face, and Parkins couldn't help it. It was like out of nowhere. Like when it touched him, a cry of disgust fell from his lips, and the horrible thing turned sharply towards him. It leapt at him, and the next moment he was halfway out the window, screaming as it attacked him. Quote, at this, almost the last possible second, deliverance came, as you will have guessed. The colonel burst the door open and was just in time to see the dreadful group at the window. When he reached them, the linen creature was gone, and Parkins was the only one there, having fainted to the floor. In front of him was a crumpled heap of bedclothes. It had been raptured. Colonel Wilson didn't ask any questions. He kept everyone else out of the room, and he put Parkins to bed. Then he wrapped himself up in a rug, which I guess is just like a blanket, and he occupied the other bed for the rest of the night. So he like slept over for him. Early the next day, Mr. Rogers arrived, and was received much more warmly than he had expected to be received. The three of them had a really long talk in the professor's room. At the end of it, the colonel left the hotel room with a small object between his finger and thumb, which he cast as far into the sea as his strong arm could throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, later on, the smoke of a burning ascended from the back premises of the Globe. Exactly what explanation was patched up for the staff and visitors at the hotel, I must confess I do not recollect. The professor was somehow cleared of the ready suspicion of delirium tremens, and the hotel of the reputation of a troubled house. I don't really understand that. I think that he set the house on fire?
It sounds like he burned the bedclothes.
You know what? Maybe. Yeah. And then, like, was just like, he went a little crazy.
Yeah. Or, like, he had the...
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Or he had the hotel. He was like, something crazy happened, and then they burned it, potentially, because they didn't want to have the reputation of a haunted place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Without question, if the colonel hadn't showed up, the professor would have either fallen out of the window or gone crazy. Quote, but it is not so evident what more the creature that came in answer to the whistle could have done more than frighten. It didn't seem to be a material creature beyond the bedclothes that made up its body.
Mm-hmm.
The colonel, it turns out, had had a similar experience in India, which is why he had been like, get rid of it. And he had the opinion that its only real power was to frighten. The whole thing, quote, served to confirm his opinion of the Church of Rome, end quote.
You know who I blame for this? The Pope!
This is somehow the fucking Catholics' fault. Okay, the last lines of the story is this. There is really nothing more to tell, but as you may imagine, the professor's views on certain points are less clear-cut than they used to be. His nerves, too, have suffered. He cannot even now see a surplice? It's a white liturgical gown. It's like what priests wear.
Yeah.
He can't see it hanging on a door quite unmoved, and the spectacle of a scarecrow in a field late on a winter afternoon has cost him more than one sleepless night.
Oh, I believe it.
The end.
With the arms outstretched and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking terrifying.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was so scary.
It's just like really upsetting and disturbing images all at once. Like, just like bedclothes, I'm like, yeah, it's not that scary, but like every part of this had like it had like a psychological horror feel to it.
Yeah.
Of like turning around and seeing a man running towards you but not moving, and like every time you turn around, he's the same distance away from you. That alone, I was like, that's so scary.
It's very much the same kind of horror as like It Follows or Smile or anything like that.
I thought of It Follows the whole time.
Yeah. Fucking terrifying.
It's MR James.
I also... This has so many weird, unresolved details that make it feel real.
Yeah.
Like the dream wasn't like it wasn't like what happened or anything. It was just...
Well, and also, who's the man that's chasing him? Because you would assume that the man he saw in his dream, which wasn't even really a dream, right? But like his vision, you would assume that that man is the same man that he saw running behind him, which now I genuinely wonder if this thing got the last person who blew that whistle, you know, and if he's seeing the image of the last person who blew the whistle running from it and about to get caught. Like he's seeing a memory play out, or that man is like trying to warn him, don't blow that whistle. This is what happened to me.
Like maybe the whistle is haunted by the guy's spirit who the thing got last.
Yeah. Obviously, that man tried to hide it to make sure that nobody else got it. You just don't know. You're right. Like, it's just not resolved. Like, there's no like clear ending to the story.
Yeah. In a way that makes it very realistic to me, where it doesn't wrap up nicely, and there are a lot of questions that are left unanswered and unanswerable, and that makes it feel real.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And then one day some fisherman is going to be throwing nets in the water. They're going to pull up a fish that swallowed a whistle. It's going to start
They're
again.
going to squeeze the fish, and it's going to go...
No! Okay, so I've covered M.R. James before, like I mentioned, episode 19 with the Wailing Well. But he was an English medievalist scholar and an author. He was born in 1862. He was the provost of King's College in Cambridge and of Eton College. And then he was also the vice chancellor of the University of Cambridge. So like very smart, very like esteemed man. But he was super popular for his published ghost stories. And he would often hold Christmas parties for some of his students where he would read his ghost stories aloud to them. And like they would look forward to it every year. Like he tells the scariest ghost stories.
Fuck yeah.
I think he's very sweet. The title of this story, and again, it is "Oh, Whistle and I'll Come to You, My Lad." That is a direct line from a poem written by Robert Burns in 1787 under the same name. The first two verses are, "Oh, whistle and I'll come to you, my lad. Oh, whistle and I'll come to you, my lad. Though father and mother and I should go mad. Oh, whistle and I'll come to you, my lad. Come down the back stairs when you come to court me. Come down the back stairs when you come to court me. Come down the back stairs and let naebody see. And come as you were, not coming to me." And then he added more to it later on. But
I think Burns also did "O Willow Waly," which is the poem that is in this Haunting of Bly Manor, which you still haven't seen, and I keep forgetting.
probably, yeah. Apparently he's very spooky. Like he could be taken to like spooky places.
Yeah, "O Willow Waly," it's like a leitmotif in Bly Manor, and I've read it before, and it wasn't scary, and they made it scary, and I was like, fuck, shit.
Well, and I read this one, and it is not scary, but like I think you could take one line and be like, this could be sinister with like the right mind. So I do want to talk a little bit about whistling superstitions, because there are many, many cultures that believe whistling can attract bad luck, evil spirits, or financial ruin, and some can even summon storms. And also, if you've watched Pirates of the Caribbean, it can summon pirates.
Yeah.
So don't whistle on a pirate ship. I went to a website called the Daily Saba, and it has an article about different cultural beliefs around the world regarding whistling, and it's interesting, so I linked it. Unfortunately, it has a bunch of like pop-up ads, so just expect that. But this particular paragraph was kind of fun to me. Quote, "In the UK, the whistling superstition is taken to a whole another level. In British culture, there is a superstitious belief in the 7 whistlers, which are 7 mysterious birds or spirits who call out to foretell death or a great calamity. In fact, in the 1800s, hundreds of mine workers stopped working for a day, claiming they had heard a mysterious whistle and could not work as something bad would happen." So very into the superstitions regarding whistling.
Yeah.
And then they also said, "All these superstitions are probably linked to the times when people were pagans and were highly concerned with spirits and the unnatural world."
That's also interesting because in England and Ireland and Scotland, there are a bunch of folkloric figures that are specifically portents or harbingers like, I would say more than anywhere else in the world. Like the banshee,
Yeah.
they're just like ravens, crows.
Yeah.
There are so many different things that are like, oh, this is a sign that something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, they got a lot of them.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what isn't a sign that's a something bad's going to happen?
Yep.
So the more I thought about this as I was reading this and thinking about the whistling superstitions, we do use whistles to call things, like dogs, mostly.
Yeah.
So it tracks to me that these superstitions would have formed over time of like whistling will call something to you that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the story, the idea of someone correlating the sound of a whistle with bad luck that came after is also very believable, right? That causation correlation, which Max did talk about in her British premonitions, off topic.
Yeah.
We want to believe bad things are under our control, and it's comforting to have something or someone to blame when terrible things do happen. So it's like, listen, we couldn't have predicted this, or we couldn't have stopped this because somebody whistled, you know? Even if you are practical like Mr. Parkins, it's safe to follow some basic rules. Never whistle at night, in a graveyard, or on a pirate ship. And if you find a centuries-old whistle in a hole in some ruins, leave it where it lie.
So true.
And that's another M.R. James story.
Terrifying.
Yeah, pretty scary.
I loved that. I want to read everything he's ever written.
He's a great writer. Also, he's a funny writer. And this is something like you think of like somebody who's like the provost of like these really prestigious and like uppity universities. Like Eton is a college where every single prince of like England has ever gone. They send them to Eton automatically. And you just think of how prestigious that is and how much work it would take to become somebody like the provost or the vice chancellor. And then also he's writing silly little ghost stories, and his little asides are so funny. I mean, there's more about the golfing that cracked me up. I don't have time, but I do want to read this because I do think it's worth it. He has something. So after he said, like, I'm not going to be looking up golfing, so just add your thing here. It says things like, whistling were you, he said. And what sort of whistle did you use? Play this stroke first. Interval. And he's like, okay. So then, like, he plays the stroke. But, like, it's just, like, after every single time they talk, it'll just be, like, interval. And he's like, hit that golf ball. Pause. And it's just, like, still remember they are playing golf. I don't know what that means, but they're playing golf while they're talking. And I think it's so intentionally funny. Mm-hmm. Also a lot of parentheses where he's like, anyway, that guy's not in the story, so don't worry if I don't tell you his name. And then, like, just back to the story. It's like, thank you.
I love that.
Yeah. Very fun.
I love that a lot.
Okay, Max.
Janey.
Well, that was episode 164.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Guys, if you want to see some pictures, Max has some pictures from Wonder Tales I'm going to be posting on the Instagram. Go ahead and follow us at Sort of the Story. You can email us at sortofthestory@gmail.com. Text us at the link below. Join our Discord if you want to hang out with us. You do that by joining the Patreon at the $3, $4, or $7 levels to get access. And we would love to chat with you because we think you're interesting and cool and funny and hot. What else? Leave us a 5-star review, please. Tell us that we're cool and funny and hot.
Yeah.
Reciprocate. 69. And yeah, we just love you. We think you're awesome.
Yeah.
So go forth and have a wonderful spooky October.
Ooh.
Woo. Bye. Okay. We're testing.
We're testing. Every time we do Am I Ready? I Am Ready, I think it's, what is it?
Are you
Fox?
ready?
No.
That's what I think.
Fox and Socks. My grandparents used to have an audiobook of a bunch of like Dr. Seuss things. Mm-hmm. And the narrator of it, the first thing that they say is, are you ready? I am ready.
That's ominous.
Yeah. It's like this, I think it's the same person who does the voice in The Grinch, like in the middle of the song.
Isn't that somebody famous?
Boris Karloff?
Yeah.
Maybe. It might be him narrating the whole thing. I'm not sure. But I think it's the same guy. But every time it's like really weird because it's like, I don't know, like, I guess I learned very early on as a kid that like when the TV shows were like, how was your day?
Like Dora the Explorer, where it waits for the kids to respond.
That's pretty interesting. I learned that very early. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, they can't hear me. Why are we wasting everyone's time? But for some reason, that one always made me laugh because it was like, are you ready? I am ready.
I think that's scary.
I like it. I don't know. I think it's fun because it's like, well, I'm ready and I'm going to tell the story now. So Get ready.
Ready or not, here I come.
Here I come.
Yeah. And that makes me think of Ready or Not.
Yeah.
Of the intro to that song where it's like, here we go. We're going to play a game. All you got to do is close your eyes. Like,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
You said the song Ready or Not, and I was like, Ready or Not, here I come.
The song in Ready or Not.
Well,
listen, there's a lot of associations. We could do this forever.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, do you guys think it's spooky when we ask if you're ready? Because we are ready.
We are ready.
Oh, we're ready.